you. All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. It's August 11th, 2026, and this is our regular council meeting. Lori, can I get roll call, please?
Mayor Young? Here.
Here.
Councilmember Brandon?
Here.
Councilmember Sartori?
Here.
Councilmember Stone?
Here.
Thank you, and I will be leading tonight's invocation and pledge of allegiance. Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts. We are thankful for the opportunity to serve our community and for the responsibility entrusted to us as elected leaders. Give us the wisdom to remember who we represent. Through their hard work and contributions, they provide the resources that allow our village to operate and serve them. Help us never to lose sight of that responsibility and remind us that public service is about serving others and being good stewards of what has been entrusted to us. Grant us guidance, wisdom, and courage when decisions must be made. Help us to listen thoughtfully, consider carefully, and pursue what is best for our community with integrity and an unwavering commitment to the greater good. May we listen with humility, speak with respect, and make thoughtful decisions that serve our community well. May our work today help leave our community stronger for those who will come after us. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
If you could please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Can you guys hear me okay? I feel like it's going in and out. Can you all hear me okay? All right, it's just on my end. All right. First up, we're going to start with our presentations. We have a very special guest in our chambers today. We have Senator Gayle Harrell joining us, and she's going to provide a legislative update from this past session. Senator Harrell, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you all for hosting me tonight. I'm just so delighted to be here and share with you the legislative report from this year in the Florida Senate. And as you all know, this was a rather lengthy session with 4 special sessions and a variety of things, and not without a whole lot of controversy here and there, I have to say. It was a very productive session in spite of the length and the special sessions and all the controversy that went on. And I'm so delighted that we actually came to conclusion on so many, many important issues, and certainly the budget being the number one responsibility that we have as legislators. The Constitution says you have one responsibility. You can do other things, but your number one responsibility is to pass a budget for the state of Florida. And as we look forward to where we're going as a country and what the economy is going to look at, we took a very fiscally conservative approach this year to what we were going to do in Florida. We wanted to make sure that we had the reserves in place to weather whatever storms come our way, whether they are hurricanes or economic storms that come our way. We want to be ready so that Florida is there. Florida can provide for its citizens no matter what. So we made a priority of really putting into reserve a significant amount of money so that we are ready for whatever comes. Our budget this year was $114 billion, and that was before the governor's vetoes, which were just about $1 billion. So we have a very strong budget this year. And of course, our number one area that we spend so much money in is health and human services. That really is about 44% of the budget. But we also put a tremendous amount of general revenue, especially into education. And I think this is a priority for the state of Florida. And I was very fortunate this last year to chair the Higher Education Appropriations Committee. And I have to share with you that I am so proud of the state of Florida and where we are in education. We are truly number one in education, especially in higher education. When you look at what we have done as far as tuition goes, we have the lowest in-state tuition in the entire country. We are ranked number one in higher education. And as a Gator, I have to say I'm very proud of number 5 Gators. Go Gators. But we are really doing a phenomenal job. We have 4 and now 5, or just about to be 5, preeminent universities in Florida, which are really excelling. They are research universities. We also have excellent, and FAU is an excellent school we have as one of our regional universities, and they are really, I think they're going to be preeminent pretty soon too. So we're moving forward with all our schools in Florida. When you look at the out-of-state tuition in Florida, our out-of-state tuition is lower than 35 states in-state tuition. So you can go in Florida from out-of-state cheaper than you can in 35 states in-state tuition in that state. So we are doing a phenomenal job, and we want to make sure our students get the very best education possible. There are about 325 bills that passed out of almost 2,000. So, which is classic. We don't usually pass. Lots of bills are presented, not many bills pass. We are very careful in what passes and becomes law. Frequently, there's lots of amendments that go on in various bills, and sometimes bills are combined. And we do a lot of what are called committee bills, where you may wind up with 3 or 4 bills kind of pushed together. And I had several issues, especially in education, where there's a big education package that several of my bills addressing special needs students, autism, and special needs students in particular, that came into a committee bill. But I want to talk especially about several of the bills that we did pass, and the number 1 bill I want to mention is, of course, House Bill 4025, which is all about Tequesta. And it really is, I'm so glad we were able to get this done, where we were able to transfer the land in the park that you all have been providing all the services for many years, that now you are the owners of that park. And you can do as you see fit, and as long as it stays a park, and you will be able to do and handle that according to your budgets, according to what you and the people of Tequesta. And of course, it's used very much by residents of Martin County as well. It's kind of a joint endeavor between Martin and Tequesta, the village of Tequesta. So it's a very important park in the area, and I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen there now that you are the official owners of the entire park. It's going to be dynamite, I'm sure. But we also had several things that I want to bring you to your attention of bills that I actually sponsored that I think are really going to make a difference for us here in our area in Palm Beach County, Martin, St. Lucie counties as well. And I think one of them that I really have deep concern about what has happened nationally and internationally has to do with cybersecurity. We are facing a crisis in this country in cybersecurity. And we had an incident last year in Martin County where our tax collector got hacked. And you think about where the information from our tax collector's office goes. They have all your property values. They know everything about you. They take care of your driver's license. All that information goes up to the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. That goes into the state database. So when you hack a local entity like that and it goes up into the state database, now you have access into the entire enterprise in the state system. So we are very concerned about cybersecurity, and we want to make sure our local governments are prepared and that they have the knowledge base, but also they have the ability to purchase commodities and services that deal with cybersecurity and do it inexpensively. So what we're doing with Senate Bill 576 is we are actually putting in statute the local government cybersecurity grant fund. And we've had that fund for a couple of years, but we really wanted to codify it and make sure it existed in perpetuity and that it was there. And then, of course, we fund it. And you all have access to it. And the bill requires that there be priority given to fiscally constrained entities, whether they're cities or counties. So if you're fiscally constrained, you go to the top of the list. We put $15 million into it this year. However, even if you don't get the grant, you have the ability to access the commodities and the services through the state. So you get the discount that the state negotiates with various vendors. So you will be able to access all kinds of services that will enable you to really establish a very secure system in your village. I think that's very, very important. Another bill I want to bring to your attention is something that I think is extremely important, and it came right out of Palm Beach County. When we talk, and also Martin County, we talk about per and polyfluoral substances called PFAS, and that is those are forever chemicals that are found within the foam, the firefighting foam that is used by and has been used for 30 years by our firefighters. And this is very toxic. It has created the incidence of various cancers among our firefighters, has been traced back to a large degree to PFAS. So we are we have a number of years that we are eliminating the use of PFAS. So by next year, we are not going to allow the use of it. And then also we're testing the water levels. Martin County, City of Stewart had a major issue, and they became part of the national, in fact, they were the leaders in the national lawsuit that addressed the problem of PFAS. And in fact, they got a substantial award from it because the manufacturers were not really divulging a lot of the information about it. So we want you all to be able to have a glide path to get there. We're testing the water, we're eliminating it. They'll still be able to be used in emergency situations up to, I think, 4 years from now, and the military, and also when there's at airports. When there's an airplane crash or something like that, you may have to be able to have some available to use. But we're going to be, over a period of time, eliminating the use of PFAS by our firefighters. And we named that bill actually after our local law enforcement. And we're so delighted, one of our local representatives, and we are so delighted that it actually came out of our area. We also, another one I want to talk about that I am so excited about. I've been very involved in this whole issue of advanced air mobility. And did you know that the Jetsons are coming to Florida? The Jetsons are here, and we are going to be the center of a Jetson kingdom right here in Florida. We are the center for where we are going to have eVTOLs. Those are electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. Remember the Jetsons? How many of you remember the Jetsons? Everybody see that cartoon? Maybe some of these youngsters here that don't remember the Jetsons, but I love it. And we already have several manufacturers who are looking right here in Palm Beach County and in Miami-Dade, and we're so excited that Florida is going to be the center of that. And the bill that we did, I did several pieces of legislation over the years to start this whole process, but this one really allows us to use state and federal funds to build vertiports when they're on public airports. So we will actually have the vertiport where the Jetsons can land their vehicles at our public airports. And I think we can use federal funds, we can use state funds to do that. And it will allow DOT to be able to help fund these things for our local airports. It's very exciting. And as I said, we have several manufacturers ready to move into Florida to start this whole process, because we have been way ahead of the curve of other states in providing infrastructure and the legislative authority to be able to do this. And the last one I want to talk about is Senate Bill 1288, and that is the water designation bill that we passed for Red Harris, and that came right out of this community, and it's really the renaming of the Jupiter Narrows area, and it will be called the Red Harris Preserve. And I'm so delighted that we also are putting money into the restoration of the spoil islands and all of the vegetation and things that will help us really with our to maintain our beautiful waters right here in Tequesta. And that came again right out of our local community. So that designation has been, we have established that designation. I believe next week there's going to be an event honoring him and honoring that. So I hope you all will be there. But that's pretty much the wrap up. Oh, one more thing I did want to mention. Sales tax holidays. They're still in effect for the next, I think, 10 days. And so if you haven't done your school shopping, school started today in most counties, you can still get that bargain on your tax holiday. But we also established several year-round tax holidays, specifically to deal with emergency situations. And for smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide, sunscreen, insect repellent, and life jackets. All these have permanent sales tax exemptions. So we added that to the list of things that we did last year dealing with hurricanes. So we're continuing this whole process of eliminating sales tax as we can on many, many things. And that is pretty much a lot of the legislation that I've worked on over this last year, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Harrell, for updating us on all the great work you did this past session. Council, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Just Senator Harrell, thank you. I mean, you've been serving our community for a long time, and we appreciate that and your advocacy on behalf, especially in the last couple of years with Tequesta Park. So thank you for that. You've done a great job. And, whenever you decide to hang up your spikes, you will be missed. So thank you for being a great advocate for the Village of Tequesta.
Thank you so much, and it's a delight. You all are so wonderful. I just love the whole village, and you have such a unique atmosphere. I just love it, and I love the park. I'm so delighted about the park.
No questions, just thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate your comment about the cost of the university system here in the state of Florida. As my daughter, a rising senior, is back there, it's good for her to hear that. So, thank you.
I don't have any questions, just thank you, Senator Harrell. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Especially with Tequesta Park.
Yeah, thank you for your partnership on Tequesta Park. I know that was 3-4 years in the making of us working together up in Tallahassee and outside of session. And thank you for your support with JNCA on the mangrove island restoration. As you know, we've been partnering with them as well. We're very excited to see that project happen, and we'll be there next week as well. And then I know Council Member Satori said hanging up your spikes, but I know you'll be hanging up those red shoes. So that's what I'll be looking for one day.
Well, I have 2 more years left. I don't have an election this year because I did get finally a 4-year term in the Senate.
Yep.
And then I will be termed out again for the 3rd time. I will hang up my red running shoes at that point.
Well,
but it's been a delight, and anytime you have any issues, as we go into next year, budget issues, get to me early so we can start the whole process. And
thank you again for being here tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Wonderful. Thank
right.
you.
Senator Harrell, if you will thank your staff is amazing to work with, so thank them for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, I actually have to. My aide's going to have a fit with me when I say this. We have all had many years of experience, and it shows when you have such a good relationship. We call ourselves the Antique Roadshow.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. All right, moving on to our second presentation. We have another special guest in the house tonight. We have Doug Crane, the director of the Palm Beach County Library System, and he'll be giving his annual update.
Okay, well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. It's a pleasure to be here again. Again, my name is Doug Crane. I have the honor of being the director for the Palm Beach County Library System, which serves as the village's library. With me tonight, too, they're out in the hall. They're giving out library cards. So if anyone needs a library card tonight, you can visit Henrik Larson, who's the manager, and our face here in the community is Nancy Davis, who's the supervisor at Tequesta. sure many of you have seen her when you go into the branch. So as the director of the county library system, sometimes I get people come up to me and ask this question: why do we still need libraries? When we have the internet, we have AI, why do we still need libraries? Well, tonight I want to show you some facts that will make it crystal clear that libraries remain a fundamental part of our community. Because you see, libraries are the place where people come with their dreams, their hopes, their ambitions, and we provide them with the tools, the resources, and the support they need. Our vision is to open minds to a world of unlimited possibilities, and our mission is to connect communities, inspire thought, and enrich lives. And I have some facts tonight. I'll move through some of the stats pretty quickly, but I think it's important to highlight the amount of work we do. In fiscal year 25, we had 2.68 million visits to Palm Beach County libraries, 8.8 million items borrowed, 353,000 people used library meeting rooms or study rooms. We had 394,000 PC or internet sessions enabled in a library. We gave out over 50,000 meals and snacks as part of our summer lunch service. We had over 50,000 hours of volunteer service as well. We are, in fact, one of the big 6 public library systems in the state of Florida. And by big, we have 18 locations. So this is our northernmost, can't get much more, or also be in Martin County, down through the center part of the county to western Boca, then out through the western communities to the shores of Lake Okeechobee, where we have 3 locations. And this is made possible by the generosity of our voters, and we really appreciate our residents who give the support. We can't be a public library without the support of the public. We were able to expand out to our current size through a voter-approved library expansion program too. We also have a service facility called the Library Annex on Cherry Road. If you've been to the Supervisor of Elections office and you wondered what that building was hiding behind the parking garage, that's us. It's where our outreach services happen. I'll describe a few of them in a few moments. Last year, we opened our 18th location. It's called the Canyon Branch. And if you're wondering where is a canyon in Palm Beach County, it's actually name of a retail plaza out in western Boynton, past the turnpike. It's a 33,000 square foot facility. It's really beautiful. And if you're in that part of the county, I hope you'll drop by to see it. And you can see your card is good at every one of these locations. You can check out items from any of them. You can return your items to any of the locations as well. There you go. So how do we pay for all this? Well, the library system's a little unique. We are a Department of County Government, but we're set up a little differently. We were actually created through a statute from the Florida state, and that created a dependent taxing district that funds the library system. We act as a kind of giant, tiny version of the county's general fund, so we have to keep our own reserves, we have to pay for our own capital programs, and our budget, anything we unused, rolls over from year to year. And we've actually kept our millage rate steady since 2011. And now, our library system actually contains all of the unincorporated area plus 24 municipalities. But we also have a cooperative agreement with 9 other municipalities, so our residents can get a card with them, and their residents can get a card with us. That leaves only 6 municipalities out there that aren't part of the county or are cooperative, and I'll let you guess which ones those are based on subtraction. Now, when people think of libraries, they obviously think of our book collection, and we're very proud of our collection. We have over 2 million items, both print and electronic. We have many different physical items you can borrow from the library and many electronic items as well. And if you see something in our collection, you can actually have it sent to Tequesta, and Nancy will be there to hand it to you as soon as you get there. But we also have some special items, such as Wi-Fi hotspots, where you can actually rent a little device for 3 weeks. You can take it anywhere in the country where there's a T-Mobile connection, and you can connect up to 8 devices to it. We also have our award-winning birding backpack program, where you can take an actual backpack, go out into our natural areas, especially up here in the northern part of the county, and do bird watching with yourself, and we have little child-sized binoculars as well. And citizenship kits are available for aspiring citizens. And if anyone in the room is concerned because at one point in your history you had a fine with us and you're sort of afraid to come back, well, I'll let you know that the Board of County Commissioners gave us authorization to end overdue fines in 2019, and we actually have waived overdue fines. The only concern is if you don't return your item, we'll charge you for it until you do return it. It's very simple. Now, we also provide answers for people's questions. We answered over 941,000 questions. And in this age of AI, one of the things I can say is that my staff do not hallucinate when they provide answers. They provide you with factual information through our databases that we provide. And we have some specialist librarians as well. One I'll highlight tonight is our community research librarian. If the village has any question that is a little more in depth than your staff maybe have the time or ability to handle, you can turn it over to us and we'll do that research for you and turn it around very quickly. Now, as a former children's librarian, children's services, I believe, are the heart and soul of public libraries, and we've had many thousands of activities for children, and from story times, crafting, book clubs, and more. And one fun one that I like to highlight, you can see pictured here, is called ARF, Animal Reading Friends. So when children are learning to read, they might get a little self-conscious trying to read to an adult, but who would get self-conscious reading to that adorable little therapy dog? And it's really a wonderful service and beautiful to see. And we also have a lot of activities for teens as well. Now, the other thing that we provide is service outside of our doors. And our bookmobile stops at up to 42 locations over a 2-week period, all around Palm Beach County, typically going to places more than 3 miles away from a branch, or with a population that may have a difficulty getting out, such as an assisted living facility. For residents who are homebound, we do our books by mail program, where we'll actually mail them books through the post. For blind or visually impaired residents, whether permanently or temporarily, we provide talking books for the blind, where we send special players adapted for visually impaired folks and little cartridges that they can put in that can have up to 20 books on them at once. And for those who never learn to read, we have the Adult Literacy Project that helps adults come up to a reading level where they can apply for jobs, apply for government benefits, and more. We also partner in the community. We are a founding member of the Literacy Coalition of Palm Beach County. And one of our partnerships that we've been very excited about over the past decade is with the school district. They provide free summer lunches. So during the months of June and July, when children whose only reliable lunch might be at school, they can come to any of our libraries, including Tequesta, and get a free lunch, no questions asked. And during the year, we have a partnership with the school bank to provide free meal kits for a family. You can come in on a Friday and get a free meal kit for a family of 4. We have a successful collaboration with the Norton Art Gallery, and right now, as we speak, you can go to one of my 12 library locations that are early voting sites and cast your ballot for, of course, the primaries now, and then come back in October for the general election early voting period. And all of my libraries are voter registration sites as well. If you want to register to vote or update your voting records, you can do it at the library. And we also reach out and provide activities for adults as well, ranging from author events to crafting activities. We are actually one of the largest computer training organizations in Palm Beach County. We'll teach you from using a mouse through Office Suite to more advanced software for audio or visual editing, and also just the simple things like how to get the most out of your smartphone. And we celebrate the wide diversity of our cultures here. Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up next, and that's always a lovely celebration. Now this year, 2026, the Board of County Commissioners has declared it the year to rediscover reading. The reading for pleasure has unfortunately declined across the country, and we want to do our part to reverse that trend because reading for pleasure has physical and psychological benefits. It reduces stress, it helps with sleep, and it actually increases connection and empathy amongst people. So we're inviting everyone, if you haven't picked up a book in a long time, come to the library. You can get one physically, or you can download one to your smart device to read. We have a lot of audiobooks as well, and yes, audiobooks count as reading. We have an app called Beanstack where people can track their reading. In fact, you can challenge other people on your reading. So I've been inviting all of the different municipalities that I visited to have their town or city councils or village councils come together and challenge each other to see who can read the most. Now, your local branch is the Tequesta Library. It's just, you can almost walk to it from here. Open Monday through Saturday. We have a meeting room that is available for the public to reserve. And we have monthly activities for all ages at the branch. In addition to that, you're not too far away from Jupiter and Palm Beach Gardens if you want to get additional library service as well from there. Now I want to discuss what's coming up too. We actually have a new branch that we're working on in the town of Hypaluxo. Obviously a little distance here from Tequesta, but it's if you're not familiar with Hypaluxo, it's tucked in along the intercoastal, along the east side of Boynton Beach. And it's going to be our newest location, one of our smallest, in fact even smaller than your Tequesta Library. It'll be our 19th location in the system, hopefully to open in 2028. Now, when we look ahead for libraries, there's a few items I want to point out. In fact, the November ballot is going to be very significant for us in Palm Beach County. There are two items I want to draw your attention to. The first, I'm sure your council is very familiar with, and that's Amendment 3, which will require, of course, 60% support from Florida voters if it were to pass. The property appraiser has indicated that for the library district, we would, if it passed at the $250,000 exemption level, we would look to lose about a quarter of our budget. Now, how we would balance that out, we're not sure yet. We are still looking at the many variables that can happen there. But, it is something that is definitely on our radar and could affect how we go forward in the future. There's another item, though, that'll be on the ballot. The Board of County Commissioners authorized putting a question to ask the voters of the library district, that includes Tequesta, whether they want to support the issuance of general obligation bonds to fund library capital programs. And that would allow us to do our third expansion program in our history. And through that funding, we would aim to renovate every one of our libraries in our system and also build a new main library. Our current main library on Summit Boulevard is our oldest building and is in dire need of being replaced. We are looking to build a library that would be about 3 times the size to match the needs of our prosperous county. That would have such features as a large civic center space, technology labs, outdoor activity spaces, and more. So if the voters approve it, that would be one of the construction projects we would look to do. But more locally, we do have your Tequesta branch as one of the early projects. And what we would be looking to do when it's time to come and start working on the architectural design and the needs, we'll want to reach out here into the local community, get the thoughts from the council and from your residents on how we can reshape that library. We are looking to see if there's a possibility maybe to expand the physical footprint of the building. And the village actually approached us last year about collaborating. There's sort of a culvert right next to it between us and the post office that I know the village has talked about beautifying the space. So we are interested in working with the village to see if there's a possibility to do something there, how we could work in coordination with you all to make it a beautiful space. With that, I will close out here. There's some contact information on the final slide. If you wanted to reach out to myself or to Henrik and Nancy, you can find any day there at the Tequesta branch. Just walk on in. I do want to end by just thanking the council for its ongoing support of library service here in Tequesta. And of course, to thank the residents, all of you here in the room and all of you watching at home or in the village. It is through your property tax dollars that library service is possible here in Tequesta. And we thank you for that financial support, but most importantly, for being library card holders, coming in and using our facilities every day that we're open. With that, I'll conclude my presentation. I'll open up to any questions the council may have.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Council, any comments or questions?
No questions, just thank you. Amazing statistics about what comes out of the library system, so congratulations on that. This story that has been undertold, and we need to continue to bang that drum for you. And thank you for your continued support of the election cycle and what you're doing. I know it draws people to the library, but I also know that you lose space during this early voting period and also on election day. So thank you for that. It's a very important process that we participate in the United States. So thank you for committing to that. We appreciate that.
Well, we're happy to do so.
My sister thanks you as well.
She's called me many times about issues. So.
Always been a big fan of the bookmobile. How many staff members does that take to run that?
The bookmobile staff, we have about 4 staff members dedicated to the bookmobile. They take turns driving it and working at the different stops. The bookmobile is also available if the village has a special activity. You can reach out to us, and if we have the availability, we'd love to have the bookmobile on site.
I just know you guys don't do birthday parties.
That
was asked by my kids
point, no.
many moons ago.
Maybe if the village has a birthday, we're happy to come on and help you celebrate.
Something to think about. You have to branch out. Charge a fee. All right, no, thank you for your time. You guys come in every now and then, give an update, and it's always very thorough. And just keep pushing out that info to the public so they know it's there. That's it.
So interesting fact that some people might know, Village of Tequesta was established in 1957. Palm Beach County Library started in 1967, around that time frame. And I think Tequesta was your first location.
That is correct. We opened the Tequesta branch in 1969. It was a storefront just a short walk away from here, is my understanding, and it was the first permanent location in our library system.
So after 10 years or 12 years of being established, we got a library here. When the first one
Well,
started.
actually, it was within 2 years.
2 years, okay.
So 1967 was when the state passed the legislation, and we opened with Tequesta and a bookmobile in 1969. So
Very cool.
you guys started the ball.
Love that. So cool. Thanks for bringing that up. No, just thank you. Our whole family loves the library. You guys are great in there, especially with kids. So thank you. I think it's so important that the youth these days have an appreciation for, hardback books and tangible side of reading and not just technology constantly. So thank you for what you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight, and we're here, whatever you need.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the great presentation on the abundant resources that you guys provide outside of just books. I have a soft spot for the libraries in my heart because my mom was a librarian at the Jupiter branch when I was growing up. And some of those special items, the birding backpack, my daughter and I have checked that out. Highly recommend it. We went to some of the local trails in the North End here. And thank you for being a resource over the summer for those that need it. You're a great resource over the summer for people that need a free meal or for kids that need something to do, right, when they're not in school. And thank you for the update on the capital project you guys have planned for Tequesta. We look forward to working with you guys on that and seeing how we can partner. And again, just thank you for everything you guys do. And thank you for your time tonight.
Well, thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
On to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, communications from citizens. Lori, do we have any cards for items that are not on the agenda tonight? Any public comment for items that are not on the agenda tonight? Moving on to communications from council.
As you may be aware, I sit on the Water Resource Task Force with Palm Beach County. And our last few meetings have, as the senator mentioned earlier, all about PFAS and Lake O levels. And hopefully with the rains of the last 2 weeks, the Lake O is back up. And I'm sure it'll come up later, but the activities that we do for the first week of school is always fantastic. So I'll let somebody else talk about that. So, the chamber's been on break as far as government affairs goes. It starts up again.
Yep.
I have nothing to put to
I think the event that the police department did with regards to the Gaming with Guardians was a great success. I think the combination with the firefighters and the police are doing with regards to first coming back to school has been special too. So I love what we do.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be invited to Coffee with a Cop on Friday. It's my first time going. It's typically on a Friday morning, which is hard for me to get to, but it was awesome. Also great to hear from our officers on all sorts of stuff. But and then Operation Safe Start, so cool. Really love that our officers are out there keeping our kids safe, and dropped my daughter off at school this morning to see them there, just knowing everyone's safe, and feels good. Thank you.
Yep. I second Operation Safe Start. I love seeing that every year. And then we had a really great school supply drive this year. We had so many businesses and residents contribute. So if you're listening out there, just know we really thank you. Our teachers, thank you. It's such a big deal that they're ready for school on that first day. All right, moving on to agenda item 11, which is appointments. We're reviewing resolution 16-26 for a vacant seat on our EAC committee, and then also an appointment on the General Employee Pension Board. Lori.
Good evening. The Environmental Advisory Committee currently has a vacancy due to the resignation of member Drew Enriquez. He can no longer attend the meetings because his job is taking him out of the country on a more regular basis. So we are looking to fill that vacancy, and that term will end on May 11th of 2028. And board membership is open to all incorporated Tequesta residents over the age of 18. They must be a registered voter within the village of Tequesta. And we received one application, and that is for Jim Obermeyer. And he happens to be a recent Resident Academy graduate. And he is here in case y'all want to hear from him. And then secondly, in the resolution is the General Employee Pension Board reappointed Michael Rhodes to the pension board. as the 5th member, and his term expires May 11th, 2028 as well. And that position is for ministerial appointment.
Thank you, Lori. Jim, since you're here, I'd like to invite you up to the podium. You can introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourself, and why you want to join the EAC.
Thank you. Yeah, as Lori said, I met her. I did her what I call her boot camp this year to learn all about the council and the village. I've been a resident for almost 4 years now, and just had a little bit of a draw to get involved. And as we see this is where we're raising our daughter and plan to retire and live our days. Just want to get a little bit involved and help out however I can. So that's pretty much the draw.
Thank you, Council. Any comments or questions for Jim?
I have none. That's the right draw.
Yeah, none, thank you though.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, any council discussion? Any public comment on agenda item 11? Nope. All right, so the motion would be to approve the resolution appointing Jim Obermeyer to the EAC and then Michael Rhodes to the General Employee Pension Board.
I'll just say I worked with Michael Rhodes. Great guy. I would not hesitate to report him.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to our standing reports. Village Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. The council indicated at your workshop you asked for an update on the Senate Bill 180 litigation. I can summarize it by saying that that one is on the ropes. The court has dismissed all of the public plaintiff's claims except for one, which is the one alleging an unfunded mandate. And it seems to me that that's a very heavy lift because of the fact that that bill passed by way more than a supermajority, and that's one of the ways to get around an unfunded mandate allegation. So I think at this point, for all intents and purposes, that one is dead in the water. It's just a matter of going through the court system, and technically that allegation was not dismissed, but I certainly don't have high hopes that that's going to prevail. So Senate Bill 180 will be here to stay, or which, the part that's given us the most grief is the part that lasts through October of next year. So that's where we are with that. And there were no stays granted, so that bill is in full force and effect right now. That is my report for tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Keith on SB 180? All right. Village Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. You may already notice the activity at the Tequesta Country Club. Demolition of the clubhouse and other buildings on the property is now underway. The club is also removing all non-native vegetation from portions of the golf course and replacing it with native plantings. Jay is working on a video that will provide residents with an update on the project, including anticipated construction timelines, so we'll try to get that out soon. Quiet zone, I think you guys are somewhat informed on this, but we have received comments from the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration. They have requested an inspection of the crossing and revised drawings showing the supplemental safety measures. We have scheduled that inspection with the FRA inspector on August 17th. If the inspection is successful, the village will resubmit the notice of establishment. Once it's resubmitted, the required 21-day review period will begin again. Tequesta Bridge, our comprehensive bridge improvement plan is underway. As you guys know, we use the infrastructure surtax to fund that project. The project includes pressure cleaning, repainting the bridge, applying protective coatings to the steel components, and preserve the structure, enhance its appearance. The bridge is also home to the protected bat population. Throughout this project, the village is taking precautions to ensure the bats and their habitat are not disturbed during this construction. The improvements are scheduled to be completed before Thanksgiving holiday. This investment will help protect the important village asset and keeping the village of Tequesta Bridge safe, attractive, and well-maintained for years. Palm Beach County, Old Dixie, as you guys know, that inconvenience is going on right now, but it should be short-lived. That is expected to go through the 21st, so another 10 days. Hopefully, that whole 10 days won't be the same impact that we're seeing right now. Village road work should be wrapped up by the end of the week, but we have North Cypress Drive, Tequesta Drive from Seabrook to Short Avenue. And then it was mentioned, but I think the school drive, I just want to thank Lori and her team because they're the ones that handle most of that and really work with the donors and some sponsors. So Lori and her team should get a lot of the credit for that. It's a great event. And they do really well with it. Typically always maxed out with the number of people that we take. August 12th is a special magistrate hearing. August 12th is also an environmental advisory board meeting. August 20th is planning and zoning board meeting. August 31st is the next council workshop, and then the village will be closed September 7th for Labor Day. That's my report.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions for Jeremy?
None.
No?
Thank you.
All right, Police Department.
The Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. In regards to Operation Safe Start, thank you all. The officers are doing a great job. I spoke to James Pike today, who started that many years ago, and he was glad that we continue that. So anytime we have an opportunity to connect with our youth, we look forward to that. So the Nautical Club wrapped up. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the barbecue on Saturday, but it was great, 8 weeks. Kids had a great time. They did a lot of stuff, and I want to thank Corporal Pruitt, who did a great job with that, Walter, Detective Loney, who took them out on our Marine unit, and Andrew Roussel as well, who chipped in. So they did a phenomenal job. Tom Jarrell, Corporal Jarrell, just finished civilian defensive tactics course. With that, we're looking to teach our community some defensive tactics. Nothing like Bruce Lee or anything that extent, but just enough to defend themselves. We're going to do something with kids as well as families, women, and then just kind of like a family night. And we're looking forward to doing that at the Annex. Coffee with a Cop, Vice Mayor, thank you for attending. We had a great time. Thank you for coming out and communicating. We had great conversations with the owner at Oceana Coffee as well. She was very grateful for it. So we actually are tentatively scheduling our next one for September 18th. Councilwoman Brandon will be reaching out to you. Hopefully you're available.
There's donuts.
So we're looking forward to that one. And Gaming with the Guardians. Thank you all. There was a lot of people that honestly helped put that together. I want to recognize them on the record. T-Flops, Evo Italian, Sunshine State Esports. They donated all the consoles for the event at no charge to the village. Tequesta Stop and Shop donated all the water and sodas as well. Rocky's Ace Hardware donated a grill. Paradise Air Fresh, they are always helping out. Ryan, Edward Jones, Calstone, not Councilman Calstone from Edward Jones, who donated the pizza. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Honestly, it was a great event. What I loved is we had a lot of volunteers, as you see on our bottom. Local people that we always deal with. Erin Nichols, who always comes forward whenever we need anything at Publix, whether it's making a cake for a special event or doing something for the kids. She's always front and center. Our Explorers Post, we continue to grow. Again, John's doing a phenomenal job with that, and Walter recruiting. I think we're up to 14 now, 14 kids that we continue to program. So we're excited about that. We got some new ones that are joining us. Kimberly Windish from Pineapple Realty came out. I don't see Vince's name there, but as you all know, Councilman Arena came out, former Councilman Arena came out and had a great time. So we were glad to have him, as well as Tequesta Family Church. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special thank you to Ethiard Joseph. Ethiard put everything together with Walter and did a great job, and he's looking forward to build on what we did this past Saturday and build on that. So a lot of people to put it together, though you all see the finished product. A lot of these guys and gals helped put it together. So I just wanted to publicly thank them for all their donations and time. That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Council, any comments or questions?
Nothing but thank you. Huge thank you.
I got nothing.
You look like you wanted to say something. I'm waiting for it.
It's a safe spot. Go ahead. Thank you.
I'm great. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
I said thank you for making Gaming with the Guardians fun for kids that don't game. As you know, I was there with my daughter friend. Neither of them game, but there was still a lot to do and a way for them to engage at the event as well. So thank you. All
Thank you.
right, next up, Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. You have before you the July monthly report, and I kind of want to focus on a couple of things, strengthening our relationships with the other municipalities, one of them being JIC. We've been assisting them with their CPR program for their police department, as well as their AED program. They want to put public use AEDs throughout JSC, and Lieutenant Dodd, who's actually here tonight, has been our point person for that, and he's done a fantastic job. Their manager, Heidi Siegel, raves about him and his work over there. He was actually at their council meeting last night, and nothing but good work for us. The other one, I want a special thanks to Captain McGovern and Captain Harris. They were the point people for that TCC training we did for the past week. We had 5 different agencies out there, including Jupiter, the county, Martin County, and Palm Beach Gardens. And we have had 35,000 hits on social media in about 4 days, and another 250 followers to our fire department. So it's a testament to what they did. I was out there most days. I wasn't working with them, but I got to go see what they were doing and take a look at the videos. They're very impressive, and we got compliments from people that have been in the business for 25 years raving about what we do. And it's a great testament to our little department. So our lieutenant's exam is coming up, 24 through 28. Met with Palm Beach State College. It's all set, and it should be well run, oiled machine over there, so we should have no issues. We did apply for a Virginia Graham Baker Pool and Spa Safety Act, which is going to help code enforcement enforce the Florida state rules for pool and spa safety throughout the village. It will also help us offset our CPR class cost as well. We've asked for $50,000 over the course of 2 years, and they've been very receptive to our application so far. I've been in contact with them multiple times. I will have 3 vacancies in October, and we're looking forward to filling them and promoting half of our command staff. So that's going to be very exciting come the end of the year. So brief tonight, but does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you, Chief. Council?
No, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, everyone. All right, last but not, he's like, I'm done, I'm out.
If I can just say, Mr. Dodd, we need to keep you away from GIC because they told me they're trying to steal you. So, but I appreciate your work on that over there, and I know Heidi told me to tell you that as well. So, thank you.
All right, Utilities Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Allison Berg, Utilities Director. Before you tonight, you have my report. Just a couple items I'd like to highlight. Our stormwater pipelining is completed for this fiscal year, so that was a great accomplishment. The best way to invest our money in upgrading the current infrastructure we have. Additionally, we are about to kick off our swale rehabilitation for this fiscal year. We are looking at possibly adding a small portion of swales along Willow, just due to some localized flooding that has been experienced recently with some of the heavier rains. We also completed our 6-month warranty inspection at Dover Ditch. There was a couple of small areas of non-survival of some of the plants, so we are looking at possibly adding some mangroves, working with Jay and his contacts with that. So I'm very excited about that project overall. Very big success though. And we did present on the updated project at the recent Loxahatchee River Preservation Initiative meeting, which is where we got the partial grant funding for that project. So they are very happy with the success as well. Our water treatment plant efficiency and control upgrades project was currently out to bid. We are proposing the award at tonight's agenda, so very excited to get that kicked off. In the picture there, our staff has done a tremendous job at cleaning out that space, which is we call the mezzanine. It's the second floor of the water plant. It was filled with all sorts of stuff from, I'm sure, decades ago. So very excited to have that cleared out and prepared for our future electrical room. We also are continuing with our SCADA conversion. I know cybersecurity is a hot topic right now. We do have meetings specific to cybersecurity with this SCADA conversion, just ensuring that every step we're taking, we are maintaining cybersecurity and ensuring it's one of our top priorities. With our water treatment plant security improvements, our gate replacement is currently underway. We are looking at having 2 of the 3 gates replaced by the end of this week. Upgrading the security with the picture there, if you can see the one on the right-hand side, it's kind of hard to see it, but the original gate was 6 foot, and especially on the low spots, some security concerns with just how low it was. We are upgrading that to an 8-foot fence, just much more appropriate for the site and maintaining security at that critical infrastructure. Our water treatment plant PFAS improvements is currently in design and slightly ahead of schedule, which is great. We're excited to potentially be submitting for our Department of Health application by the end of the year. Water Main 2 Beach Road Phase 2, the project was delayed due to right-of-way permitting. The time that it took to secure the funding for the project, our right-of-way permit had expired, and you have to submit your contractor's license before the permit can be issued, so that time lapse added some delay to get that right-of-way permit. There was some talk previously about how the county had planned to resurface Beach Road, so just the coordination to get them to hold off on the right-of-way or on the resurfacing delayed some of the right-of-way permitting, but we are looking at getting that right-of-way permit at the end of this week. So you will be seeing a change order come to you very soon on extending the contract completion dates, but it's very specific only to the right-of-way permitting timeline. But just something to look out for in the future. But other than that, we have continued with submittals for the project. The contractor is pretty much ready to mobilize, and that site sign that's required for the SRF will be going up soon, so you'll start to see more people in the coming weeks. Water Main 3, Jupiter and the Pines South, the request for inclusion meeting for FDEP for the SRF funding is tomorrow, so we're really hopeful that we get the funding for that project. If we do, we'll plan to put that out to bid in the next month or two. And get that project rolling, so you'll have an application and an SRF loan agreement coming to council for approval in the coming months, if the funding for that is secured. Some other items to highlight, our cross-connection control and backflow prevention project has been going on behind the scenes, but we're about ready to transfer over from our existing Aqua Backflow platform to our new HydroCorp platform. So you will see some public outreach material and education material going out to residents soon. As we have a more solid timeline on some of those items, I'll provide that information to you. Our Florida Rural Water Association, our lead operator, Joe O'Connor, was honored to receive the Operator of the Year award. So we are so very, very proud of him. So there's a picture of Joe at the conference that they held in Daytona and a picture of his award. So we're really happy for him, as well as receiving the CETA Best Tasting Drinking Water Award for this year. So we did... the clerk's office helped us out getting a social media post, so I hope you got to see that. We're also working on our water treatment plant break room remodel, so those are the pictures there. Before, this was a men's only bathroom. The sink was located in the bathroom, so the only place that staff had to wash dishes or anything from the break room was either in the lab or in the bathroom. Additionally, they only had a microwave, so if they're staying there for any hurricanes or anything, all they had to cook food in was a microwave. These improvements provide a space for the sink outside of the bathroom, as well as upgrading the kitchen area so it's more efficient and comfortable for them in those times of storms when they're required to be on site. County Line Road Bridge replacement, the kickoff for that project. They are having a kickoff meeting next week on Tuesday, so I'll be attending that, and any information that comes from that kickoff meeting we'll be sure to provide to council and then to residents as well on the schedule and timeline for the bridge replacement. We have recently also had a vacancy on our distribution team. If anybody knows Michael McDonough, he has left to pursue a new career. And so we did fill that vacancy with one of our public works maintenance workers, Ickner. He has come over to our team. I think he's been with us for almost 2 weeks, and he's been phenomenal, a great addition to the utilities staff. Just two other items. We have a new initiative that we are working on with our customer service team on identifying some accounts that have continuous late penalties, proactively reaching out to them to try to get them on payment plans to kind of get them out of the hole. If somebody makes a payment on their account but it's not full, they'll get a late fee. And that can continuously build up over time. As long as they're making some payment, their water will stay on, but the fees can just build up and build up. So to try to stop that cycle, we're proactively reaching out to residents to try to get them on a payment plan. Once they get on a payment plan, those late fees will stop. Of the 10 accounts that we have identified to reach out to, 4 of them have agreed to go on the payment plan. So that's an anticipated $6,192 in cost recovery while helping those residents get out of the hole. So we're really excited about that initiative. The last item is the recent flooding on Old Dixie Highway. We are currently working with the county on addressing that flooding and finding the most efficient and effective resolution to that. That works for both the village and the county. So we are aware of the flooding. We're working actively to try to address it. And that is all I have. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Council, any comments or questions?
Do you sleep?
Sometimes.
I will say, whenever we are sent your stuff, it is so detailed and thorough. And I just wonder, when does she sleep? And are you making your staff run around in circles? Because you guys are running, in a good way, you guys are running so many projects at once and they are getting done.
Thank you.
Magic is, but keep up the good work.
It's a secret. It's in the water.
It's in the water. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very busy. Keep up the great work. And thank you. I know we get resident, inquiries on, often stormwater issues, and you're so responsive and willing to meet with them right away. So thank you for that too, because I know they appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, on to our regular agenda, old business. Agenda item 16, ordinance number 09-26, which is a second reading of our right-of-way ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0926, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Code of Ordinances at Chapter 63, Right-of-Way Regulations, Article 1 in general, creating new village rights-of-way policy for all Village of Tequesta rights-of-way, adopting and codifying the same into the village's Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 78, Section 78704, control of access to streets to conform that provision to the new right-of-way provisions, provided that each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 63 and 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date for other purposes. This is second reading. There have been a couple of minor tweaks as directed by the council at first reading that should be in the ordinance. Doug looks like he's ready to talk you through those.
Doug?
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Village Council. As the attorney mentioned, this is ordinance 0926, the second reading, and based on recommendations from the first reading, we made some minor changes to some of the language that's in your agenda package tonight. Just to briefly touch on those, section 63.2H, which referred to mailboxes, we revised the language to just say decorative features associated with mailboxes shall not obstruct drainage, interfere with maintenance, create visibility, or safety hazards. So that language is upgraded. And section 63.5B, swale plantings, we revised the language to say all plantings shall be installed at or near the top side of the swale, so it's very explicit and gives a little more leeway on where you can plant at the top of the swale. Section 63.5B4, also the same language was changed there as far as where to plant at the top of the swale. Section 63.5B12, staggered plantings, we revised the language to include language that the language does not apply to trees, shrubs, and hedges planted on the top side of the residence swale. Section 63.5D, the root barrier, will remove the requirement for engineered root barrier, and we changed the language, shall include a standard high-density polyethylene or polypropylene root barrier system. Section 63.5B6, shrubs and hedges, we just revised the language there to Florida native, Florida friendly, and non-invasive species. And then one more item in section 63.6G2, portion of the right-of-way adjacent to the public right-of-way. Pavers are permitted within a driveway approach in communities with curb and gutter roadways. As an example, Coconut Cove, the Intracoastal, and Tequesta Oaks. And those are in your packet tonight.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Council, open up the discussion.
Doug, thank you for all your work on this. I'd like to acknowledge as well that Planning and Zoning did review this, as many times as we have, I believe, in the past 5-0. So thank you to P&Z for that. I've always had a different approach to this, Doug, and we've talked about it a few times, but I think in Tequesta, how I see is we have a road problem and we have a swale problem. And what we do for both of those doesn't seem to complement the other, doesn't fix the problem. Our roads are flat. I don't see much of this on our roads. There's very few crest or peak or whatever the proper road word is. And we have a lot of, especially in the country club, you've got a lot of areas that are like this. You've got a lot of cars that are going up and down. You have a lot of ponding of water, a lot of things of water. And on my road, again, I always speak to mine because I see it every single day, but on Dover, from Tequesta Drive, as you head north and go around towards the Stop and Shop, I don't think there's any house that has a violation of their right-of-way. There might be one or two in there. But what we have is sod that is in some cases this thick, very healthy sod. That sod ends up acting like a curb, I think. We have water ponding and it's not draining into that. So by what we're doing is maybe solving some right-of-way issues, but we're not helping what I think is a larger issue, and another issue is of kind of the quality of our roads. We pave and we mill, and you can see how they break away, 6 inches from the sod line. you can see the top layer, and then about 4 inches closer, you see the next layer, and then you finally get to whatever the bottom layer, I call the third layer. So we've got a lot of chipping and things like that. And we've got very narrow roads as well. There's a point to this. We have very narrow roads, and when Ferreira was doing all their work, the workers had to park somewhere. A lot of them park in the street. And because we've got very narrow roads, very, very narrow roads, roads on my, houses on my road, we're getting, and his Amazon truck is out there, waste management truck comes through. If there's a car on the road, it's hard for some of these larger vehicles to get around. So they're driving on people's swales. And I take pride in that. While it is a right of way, it's still my yard, and I have to maintain it. What I'd like to see is from the edge of the road in about 18 inches. I'd like to see, and I know we've vetted this over and over again, but I'd like to see the ability to do something other than sod. Because that sod acts as a barrier, sometimes several inches thick, and water will pond. It does eventually go away, as I'm sure it's designed to, but there's ponding out there because of just the sod. We have curb heads, I don't know if that's the proper word, on some of our driveways and some of our corners to maintain the integrity of the road, but in normal streets, we don't have them on my road, again. I'd like to see us have the ability to have about a 12 to 18 inches in, not plant a shrub, not plant a collusia, to have white rock. There are several homes in our community that have white rock down there, and we're not allowed to have that. But I would like to have the ability to do that, because number one, I think it would help move water off the road that from where it stands and it puddles. Give us 12 or 18 inches of just white rock will give us something to get the water off the road. It'll allow people to not destroy yards when we go around our very narrow. And let the right of way and what we have going on, I think we could sit and argue, or people can argue over this, what's good, what's bad. But I'd like to see us, and I'm not saying come back and do it again. We're gonna have a vote tonight. We'll see what happens. But I'd like to see us have a discussion on how we can have a 12 or 18 inch gravel barrier from the road to allow people to park a little bit, not on the grass, but allow them to get a little bit off the road so we don't have people driving in our roads. So I think fixing the roads is going to happen over time. But this right of way, I think we can make our roads better by giving a little bit more in the right of way in the first, and I talked about this at the last meeting, in the first 12 to 18 inches from the street. So that's what I'd like to see. As it's written now, I told you I voted last time, I didn't vote for it. I'm leaning towards that way again. But I would like us to have another conversation. And again, if it can't be done, if 811 comes out and says all your utilities are too close to the road, Rick, you can't put 18 inches of gravel rock in there. But in the places that I've seen that have gravel rock, we don't have flooding, or there's not exorbitant flooding there. I don't know if that's just coincidence or not. Maybe the roads are better, or if it does. But I really like to see us allowed to have a little about 12 or 18 inches from the road. It could be rock, it can be perennials, it could be, whatever people want to put there, but low rooting things, which takes away from the sod barrier that happens. And that's what is happening. I've seen, and I've been noticing it more and more. The sod is acting like a curb. And if we could put the sod back 12 to 18 inches and have white rock there, I don't think it's going to grossly impair or impede any right-of-way work that needs to be done. And as it reads now, I don't see that this allows us to do that.
It does not. I would agree with your comments. It does not allow that, although we do allow in the revised ordinance, we do allow plantings in the right-of-way. And we do require the buffer. And as referenced before, the buffer does allow for drainage. It does allow for protection of underground utilities, and to move that water off the road. We are rebuilding the road. As you mentioned, we're rebuilding the crown of road as we do that. On cross streets, we are putting flush header curb. This mostly, like you mentioned, the roads are narrow, and so we had that flush header curb that gives a little more radius on turning on corners. So we've done that on main streets like Tequesta Drive and other. But right now, as the ordinance sits, I think we found a nice balance between allowing plantings in the right-of-way, right, and moving the water off the road. We haven't been in favor of rocks in the right-of-way. That will create a dam at some point. An average rain event is not going to necessarily move rocks, but anytime you have a heavy rain or downpour, all those rocks are going to pool and create a dam in the right-of-way. Road, they're going to be all over your property, and it's going to create a hazard for So,
I just see it as being more level with the street versus the sod that is creating a 3 to 4 inch barrier where water eventually is absorbed. So, and that's it.
right,
Thank
and
you.
when the swales are rebuilt, that profile will be lower, so the water can roll into the swale. Grass is not blocking the water in the drainage.
All right, thanks, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
Hello.
I still sit with this. It's just been so overcomplicated, and it's already in our code that you technically need permission to make grandiose landscape additions. It's also in our code that if you are renovating X amount of percentage of your landscape, you have to add a swale, like redo it or change it up to code. I mean, for me, everything's already there. It's just, I want to say enforce it. I don't want you guys to run out and just start attacking residents, because that never goes well. But I just still feel this has been so overcomplicated and HOA'd, and there are constantly evolving ways with landscapes and Florida lifestyle, with our flooding changing, our weather patterns changing. Matt Hammond was here. He was really good about treating each property individually, because right-of-ways are different sizes all over the village. The utilities are not lined up exactly in each road, so you have to deal with that. And again, if, like Allison said, we have currently new flooding areas popping up, so how do we address that for that area? So for me, it already exists in code. I feel like this is just adding more complex layers. I still sit with that. And I don't know if you're gonna change my mind, because I still think someone comes in, they work with the village. If you personally can't come up with a solution, there are so many smart people out there who do this for a living. And I just can't get on board with this thing as a whole still, so.
Just as a reminder, we ran this through our engineer, right? These are the standards that are practiced throughout the country, not just the state of Florida. And before, what we didn't have were any standards. Matt Hammond was very good at what he did, but he was dealing with one property at a time. We're looking at the village as a whole as we replace infrastructure, as we replace roads, as we replace sidewalks, as we replace water mains. When FP&L comes into town next year and bores and goes underground, or eventually AT&T or Comcast need access to the right-of-way, not only for main breaks or repairs, but you need access to put those utilities underground.
But disagreeing with that?
This is a standard, right, which we haven't had. And what this allows is a nice balance between protecting the dollars that the council is investing in infrastructure, right, and staff is putting out there, and then also finding a nice balance to allow plantings in the right-of-way. So we're allowing plantings in the right-of-way where it wasn't happening in the past.
Well, for me, it wasn't being regulated correctly, but that's my opinion.
Thank you again. I'm prepared to have counter comments to Councilman and Councilman Sartori, but I feel like this is going to pass. So if it's not, I will speak up, but I'm in favor.
Thank you, Doug. I have no further comments. Appreciate you making the changes. They are, as far as I can tell, they capture what we talked about at the last meeting, so I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for the amendments. They're minor, but I do think they picked up a lot of concerns that I was hearing. So I think it makes a difference, and I think this is a great tool for better transparency, because I've said this at multiple meetings. You know, when I've had concern residents reach out, it was like, go to this section, go to that section, look up that resolution. And it was very confusing. So I think this is a great tool, and everyone has the same playbook. So it helps all parties involved. And, you know, if adjustments need to be made a year or two down the road, or 5 years down the road, because there's new, you know, design guidelines or, you know, landscaping guidelines out there, we can always update this. So this isn't the end all be all. It can still be a living document. So thank you for all your work on this one to date.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Any public comment? No? All right, is there a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, agenda item 17, ordinance number 10-26, which is a second reading of updating our code for artificial turf and synthetic grass to align with recently passed state law.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 1026, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 78 zoning, Article 9, supplemental regulations, Section 78396.5, artificial turf/synthetic grass, conforming the ordinance with new rules adopted by the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection related to artificial turf, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts cause severability clause authority to codify an effective date and for other purposes.
Keith, Jay?
Good evening, Jay Hupsch. Ordinance 1026 passed 5-0 on first reading with no real changes, so I've really got nothing further to add. Happy to answer any questions if you have.
Anything for Jay? Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
Jay.
All right, any public comment? No, any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 18, ordinance number 11-26, which is a second reading to update our EMS fees.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 1126, an ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 34, Fire Protection and Prevention, Article 5, Pre-Hospital Emergency Medical Service, Section 34124, Establishment and Review of Fees, to modify fee establishment provisions to allow automatic adjustment based on U.S. CPI data, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 34 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date for other purposes.
Thank you, Keith. Chief?
Thank you very much. Second reading of this EMS fee increase. I just wanted to add a couple of things. For instance, last month we had about 60 transports. So 60 over the course of a year is about 720 transports, which are not all going to be residents. So this is not an impact on the entire village. It's an on-demand fee, and we're going to try to keep up with basically our universe, which is the county and Martin County included. There was one question about healthcare premiums from Councilmember Stone, and I did do some research for you. And basically, the main drivers for healthcare are going to be prescription drug spending is the top contributor, obviously, rising premiums along with catastrophic claims, hospital prices, and chronic condition utilization. Ambulance fees don't really come in the top 20 to 25 items. It's less than 1%. So it was good research for me, and I wanted to make sure you had that information.
Thank you.
So if you all had any questions, that was really the only concern I had last time from anybody. So any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Council.
I'm not.
None.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
One question I had last time that you said you were going to look into.
Oh, I probably did.
I know it was a small percentage of people that are bearing the full cost. I think
It
you
was
said
like
8%,
less- it was-
and
yeah, it was
then
less than 8%.
uninsured self-pay was 6%. But you're going to check if we offer payment plans for those that.
Yes, I did get that question the other day, and EMSMC does offer payment plans. That's through our billing provider, so that's not even going to be through the village at all. And they definitely, it's a billing service, so they definitely want to get your money however they can.
Do they charge interest, or will they work?
I did not get from them. I'm sure they do, but it probably is going to be something similar to what the water department does. If they can get you to get on a payment plan, they're going to get you on something.
Okay,
Yep.
great. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for confirming. All right, is there any public comment? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Opposed?
All right, agenda item 19, thank you, Chief. Consider approval of employee benefit insurance renewals. Catherine?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, tonight we're considering the approval of the benefits insurance renewal for 26-27. In preparation of this renewal, we started back in the workshop for June 29th. We presented to you the current benefits program overview, the insurance market, the trends, and the factors that are going to be leading to what to expect in 2026. At that time, Council had requested that staff develop the renewal options as well as potential savings in our premiums. So flash forward to last week, we brought to you the renewals as well as some options for you to consider. Those options included the initial renewal that came back at 12.9% premium increases over the current plan. The current plan included the PPO as well as the high deductible plan. The as-is negotiated renewal, which was negotiated by Gayle Group to come down to 7.0%. That was dependent on the village transitioning from Solstice as our dental provider down to Florida Blue. And then we also provided PPO alternatives, which brought a 3.9% increase. Another alternative, which was a 3.6% increase, a 1.7% increase, and then as well as an HMO alternative, which was a 5.4 decrease. Discussions last week brought us to the alternative that we are considering this evening, and that is the HMO alternative with the high deductible plan, as well as the as-is PPO plan with the option to buy up. So with that, I am going to open it up to discussion, but let you know that I also have Christian here from the Garing Group as well, just in case we had any additional questions this evening.
Thank you, Catherine. Council, open up for discussion.
Well, at our last workshop, I started the conversation by saying, insurance is not my lane. I don't know a lot about insurance. I think it can be one of the most confusing parts as an employee who is offered insurance when you have the opportunity to switch. And I listened, and I think the process also worked. You know, we have workshops because we don't vote. We request information. You know, we're moving into what could be uncharted territory, you know, come November. But we know we've tasked every department head to come back with how can we cut corners, and it just happens to be the medical plan that is up for bid right now. And based on what I've learned, you know, we always get this information at the last minute because we're waiting for all the prior year's claims to come in to get our claim rate and things like that. So I think the process worked. We got the information we needed. I think this effort got legs of its own. And I think the employees, rightfully so, heard about it. And it was quite a shock. Sounds like we were going, even though that was not a vote, but it sounded like we were moving in that direction. It's easy for me to sit up here and say, it's not my checkbook, it's not my paycheck. And if the direction that we're going as a village will be an HMO, I don't think it's now. Having said that, it's an amazing HMO, probably one of the best that's out there. And I applaud Garing Group and the work you did, Catherine, and the whole staff to bring this together as quickly as we did. But I just use the word quickly. And I think that if we're going in this direction, you know, you look at the average income and the median income of our employees. And for the non-union people, they're getting a 3% raise. If they're going to go in and feel like we're in 2 months making them, or 6 weeks making them make a decision to find new doctors and things like that. Some have children. Women don't go to the doctor all the time. It's once or twice a year. I think any pay increase is going to be chewed up by going with the buy-up. If somebody, for whatever reason, can't take the straight HMO, that any pay increase that we offer them is going to be chewed up by that buy-up, for both the high deductible and for the PPO. I think, as I said, if this is the route that we feel that our village needs to go in to be financially sound, fiscally responsible, I don't think it's 6 weeks from now. So I am not in favor of this. We came in, we thought it was going to be 12, put a placeholder at 9. The old plan came in at 7, below what we had. I just think we need to owe it to our employees, and if we truly value them and what they provide to the village and the hours that they work and the quality of the work they do, I don't think we can ask them to make a decision on something as important in some of these people's lives as insurance that have special needs, special doctors, things like that. So I'm not in favor of switching this. I would be in favor of staying with the old plan, but if we are moving in that direction, we need to let everybody know now, start looking for new doctors and things like that. But I don't think now is the right, it's too much, too soon, with a dramatic change for a lot of people that are uncomfortable with that change. So I'm not in favor of moving forward with the new plan, the HMO. Albeit a great plan, I just think it's too much, too soon for our employees.
So sorry I missed last time. I was literally stepping off of a boat coming back from the islands. And I listened to the meeting late that night. And then I think I called Jeremy Tuesday. It was even before we heard from employees. And I already had concerns about HMO because when I have to sit on both sides of this as a person, I've had HMO, I've had PPO, I've had private insurance, I've had family insurance. My mother worked for the government and that was the best insurance ever. But then I got married and lost that. And I've even run rogue before and had no insurance, and that was super fun. A little scary. And then you get kids mixed in it. So, I mean, I try to, again, think about our employees. This is a sensitive item. I'm very aware and I'm very factual that this is a benefit to working in the village, okay? We're a small town. For me, we don't have the highest salaries. We're not the bottom, but we're not the highest. And I think people know that when they come here. They're getting our town quality, but they're also getting some perks. And I know a lot of our staff rely on those perks, such as benefits, and a family pretty much relies on that too. And that's kind of why they keep the job. I mean, ask a teacher, why do you teach? You don't make a lot of money, but there's perks in there that they probably do it for. So I go back and forth on what I heard in the meeting and all the information we've been sent, all your research and updates you've sent to Jeremy, which got sent to us. I've heard from staff. I've also talked to residents who could be on both sides of an opinion on this. My route is why now? And I can't seem to find a why now. And I say that because the number came in less than what we were expecting. Also, I have a village manager who is, I want to say, pretty honest with us. And if we ever have something traumatic coming our way, whether it's a state bill or, you know, property taxes, not the referendum, but in general, he will be honest with us and say, I foresee something, we have to make a move, and I really need you guys to make a hard decision. I don't have Jeff sitting up here staring at us, freaking out. So I'm trying to figure out why now and why couldn't we research this a little bit more and discuss it for the next year and see what benefits our staff the best. Again, and I've also considered if we made a big change, like all the way down to the HMO, I've been in those shoes too, where a family might have to flip-flop into their spouse's insurance, and that's a very tight window right now. And I don't even know what that spouse insurance looks like. So I feel like we're just making a really, really rushed decision. I'm not knocking it, considering it. I just feel like it's really rushed at this point is the route for me. And I just really want us to take a second to think about it and also consider this is one of the benefits of working for our small town. I can't say it any easier than that. And that's it for now.
Okay, so I'm gonna try not to do Vince Arena math for some of us that have experienced that. So to me, it's obviously health insurance is extremely important. Where did the timing, where did it come from? I asked a question, you know, because we're anticipating potentially receiving maybe a 10% reduction in the overall revenue that we receive from our residents because of the property tax referendum. I see a 7% increase on health insurance. And so in my head, I see a 7% increase this year and next year potentially having a 10% reduction. So I'm trying to figure out how do I reduce maybe 17% from health insurance next year. That's an extremely difficult task to do in a fair way. And so I think you have to start now. The reason the referendum's on the table is because this system's got to break. It's going to break. It's not sustainable. So I'm going to go through a couple different numbers. Bear with me as I go through that. And a little bit of history too. I know, and I think we might be still doing it, but I know when I was on the council a couple years ago, I asked that we send out to all of the employees the total benefits package, salary, pension benefits, our contributions and health insurance. And are we still sending that out to the employees? So on average, our average employee receives a total compensation package benefit of around $130,000. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It shows you how much the residents care about just the average employee of 100, I think it's 103 employees, give or take. At that time when we first sent that out, I think there's some employees got upset, didn't like us sending that out to all the employees. I think it showed the true cost of what it is to be an employee. So in that time frame a couple years ago, there was complaints when they saw the cost. So now we're talking about that cost and talking about maybe reducing that cost a little bit. And that's obviously generating some excitement, which is good. So when I looked at specifically the two scenarios, I know Jeremy put together a great idea as he's been working with the team, and Christian, thank you so much for the quick response for everything. Came together with a concept of maybe some type of a stipend or a subsidy to help eliminate or make this a smoother transition. So hopefully we go through those numbers today. But so if you look at the new premium with the 7% increase, I'm looking at a family alone. The total cost a month, I believe, is $3,714.11. It's the total cost. Now, the village pays for a portion of that. The employee pays for a portion of that. That's $44,000 a year, $44,569 just for health insurance for an employee with a family. There's 33 of those employees when they're in Village of Tequesta. That's $1.4 million just to cover those employees. Current cost a family of an employee roughly around $561 a month. That's $6,700 a year. That equals, for that 33 families, $222,000 that they're paying out of the $1.4 million. That's equivalent to 15%. Okay? The village is paying for the other 85%. The proposed with the subsidy is around $800 a month, which I understand is a significant increase from the $500. I get that. That's $9,000, $9,600 for the year. $319,000 of that $1.4 million for these families. That's a 21% scenario there. So with all that being said, that is an increase compared to the average payroll. So if you look at the average pay, it's $95,000. And that's right around 10% of what that employee potentially could be paying. And that is a significant increase. But that's why we continue to work. That's why I think we got the other options of the high deductible plan, which I think is probably the ultimately where we're going to be headed to. As you see that already in the private sector, most people have high deductible plans. I can tell you I do. I have a high deductible plan. I pay about $500 a month, so $6,000 a year for me. My deductible is $4,000. So I automatically, before anything is covered, I'm paying $10,000 before one bill is being covered by insurance. After that, I get 20%, up to $8,000. That's all in network. So what is that? $14,000 that would come out of my pocket potentially in that scenario. Out of network, $20,000 that I have to pay for insurance. So that is what I'm trying to get at, is that is I think, a very common insurance coverage for an individual in society, right? And so when we look at benefits being a huge part of working at the village, I agree. I think they should be a big part of the scenario. I also look at what the average pay of a school teacher in Palm Beach County. It's $69,000. That's the average pay. We're at $95,000 as our average employee. There's a big gap there for public service, and I would throw teachers in that category. Teachers have a great health insurance plan. What I'm getting at is something has, well, maybe not, because I see some head shaking. They do not have a good health insurance plan. What I'm getting at is something has to break, right? We have this property tax potentially come our way. We have options. We can reduce benefits, we can reduce employees, and we can reduce salary. One of the three is our only option out there with regards to reducing cost of managing a municipality, and that's really just an employee side of things. When we look into salaries and we look into other things, we're now looking into health insurance as one of those levers that we have to kind of figure out what's that right spot to measure this. And it's not, I don't know what's fair. I really don't know how you can predict what's fair. What we want to make sure is if one of our employees has a severe circumstances, and we've had a couple within our family that has had these, they've had enough insurance to go and take care of what they need to do, or at least have the option to select that option. And I think what we've presented, and hopefully you talk about the one with the subsidy, because I think that to me is what our best solution is. But the main reason why I feel like we really need to talk about this, back to Vince's math, that increase of $173,000, if we just take that 7% increase, if we multiply that by 7% over 10 years, that becomes $384,000 10 years from now. So assuming no changes, That bill for 173 will eventually get to 384. That total increase is around $2.3 million that we are saying yes to today, because why would it change in 10 years per se? And so I have to be able to explain this to residents and make a decision. Will residents be okay with the fact that we are highly compensated employees at an average of $95,000 a year with benefits of an additional $35,000? And can I justify that? And I'm having a hard time doing that without making any minor changes right now as we look into what's happening in the future. So I hope to talk about the subsidy if we can.
All right. I want to say thank you first for all the staff feedback we've received since the workshop. This is a tough, it's almost a weird thing to talk about up here. I mentioned it, I think, during our workshop, and I think I've said it to Jeremy since. It just feels so personal. And I know we make decisions up here all the time that are, have to do with taxpayers how we spend our taxpayers' money. This one just feels so different. It's so personal to our employees. So this is a tough one. This is not, some of these developments coming in very tough, but this one is just different. Feels different.
It's the hardest one.
What's that?
It's the hardest one.
It is, yeah. And at the end of the conversation at our workshop, I kind of still had that same feeling, and so I made a comment. I looked at Jeremy and said, I want to hear if we do hear anything from our staff that this puts them in a bad position, because we don't know. I mean, we don't know everything up here ever. We're always going off the best information we have, and on this one, we literally, for legal reasons and HIPAA and all that, we don't know what's going on with our staff's lives, so it's really hard. But I wanted to hear about it, so thank you for reaching out and everyone I spoke with. So as I've considered this over the last week here, I think like all of us, the focus has been on, how do we remain fiscally responsible while also honoring our commitment to our employees who take care of our residents, us all included, obviously, every day, so, and as a council, I 100%, the reasoning of, we have to be proactive up here. If we're being reactive, then we're not doing our job. So I love that, not necessarily this one, but with all that we do up here, especially when you have this November referendum just looming over our heads, that we're trying to be proactive. And I don't think there was anything wrong with asking for the options. I think it was a good exercise. That all said, after considering all the available information and like I said, hearing from several members of our staff, I'm just not convinced now that there's currently the financial need to reduce the healthcare benefits what they are today. And I do believe it is absolutely critical to remain mindful and to keep watching what is going on around us and future budget challenges we may experience. But right now, those impacts are still uncertain. So it just feels a little too early, sort of what Councilmember Satori said. It feels a little too early and a little too quick right now. We may have to make this type of hard decision next year. Who knows what's going to happen. There's going to be tough decisions that have to be made, and we're not going to be able to make everybody happy. It sucks, but it's just part of being up here. And that's what we signed up for, so that's fine. I'm viewing this way differently than I would a typical budget item. And, it is certainly a critical part of our compensation package, and it plays an important role in attracting and retaining all of our awesome staff that we enjoy here at Tequesta. But more importantly, and this is where the human factor comes in, I'm just particularly sensitive to the real world impact this decision could have on our village employees and their families. And, that becomes a really big deal, kind of Councilmember Stone mentioned, it's really a big deal when there's major medical events, when families need that access to specialized care, sometimes out of state, that maybe an HMO does not offer. And I think kind of last, and I promise I'll wrap this up soon here, is, like I said, I believe our employees should be part of this conversation. They have been. I think it was a good exercise. But, when changes affect the health, well-being, and the financial security of our workforce and our employees, I think it's important that we listen carefully to those who will be directly impacted and fully understand the consequence of those decisions. And so, as are most things up here, we get educated, I agree. The workshop, I think that's what it's for, right? I think bringing it up as an option was great idea. I mean, we got to look at everything, and if we're not, shame on us. So perhaps the fiscally responsible decision would be to go to the HMO, but at this time, I believe we should maintain the renewal PPO and high deductible PPO plan structure while continuing to monitor everything. And I think that approach allows us to remain fiscally responsible while honoring that commitment to our people. Next year, like I said, we'll see what happens. But right now, I feel good about that decision.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I agree. It's a sensitive topic, and it's a really big and tough decision that we have to make when we're talking about health insurance and quite honestly, the next agenda item as well. But, I do always like to look logically with information that's been provided, specifically this proposed plan change, because we do have to always make sure we're remaining fiscally accountable and responsible to our constituents. So I'm not going to crunch numbers like Councilmember Stone did, but I'm going to just run through a couple things that I have seen because I did re-review all the information that we received at the last workshop and as well as stuff we've received since the workshop. So we used to offer a HMO plan 2020 through 2023.
Yes.
Okay, so we have had that in the past. Currently, there's 12 other comparable cities or entities that provide a HMO.
That is correct.
And this HMO is referral free. You don't have the restrictions of like the traditional mindset of a HMO.
Yes, and within network.
And then when comparing to 19 other cities and counties, a lot of data was provided there. To me, even after re-reviewing it, it looked like our current plan was above average, and this proposed plan would keep us well within those averages, meaning that we're, being competitive and comparable in the market.
When we are comparing our HMO, as it was mentioned up here, our HMO that was selected is a very competitive HMO. It's a very rich HMO. The one thing that is consistently brought up is there is no out-of-network care for it, whereas other municipalities that do offer the PPO, it does continue to have the out-of-network care.
Okay, and so this is another kind of gap that I would like you to hopefully fill for me. So we have two PPO options that we're providing. It's the high deductible, which I really hate the word high in front of it because talking to a lot of people since last meeting, the one that's offered with this plan is reasonable and I would say kind of standard. And then we have the current PPO plan. So there's two PPO options. So if someone does need out-of-network, there's two different plans that they can pick from.
That is correct.
So the HMO cost per month, monthly cost, we don't have per paycheck, we have per month here that we're looking at.
So the monthly cost the cost breakdown that you have is monthly, employees pay per paycheck, but for.
Yeah, it's broken down a month. So the monthly cost of this proposed HMO is pretty much the same cost as what employees are paying now.
For what would now be considered the buy-up PPO, correct?
And the high deductible PPO, that's actually less than what the HMO would cost.
Yes.
So those savings could be put towards, if someone had to have the PPO, they could put those savings towards the deductible to pay for that deductible.
I'm going to have, Jeremy, do you have those numbers in front of you?
I do have them in front of me. You want me to read them off? Is that how you want to do that.
I want to make sure that I am
Vince Arena
analyzing.
numbers.
Am I pulling a Vince Arena? Is that what? Oh,
You're great. I'll take the whole blame for that. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I just, like I said, I'm just really trying to be logical and making sure I understand this because these are big decisions. So the way I'm seeing it is if you need a PPO, there's the two options. The high deductible is less than the HMO, and the cost savings. I'm talking if you have your spouse, children, family, because I think employees covered, right? The cost savings that they're realizing from going to that from the HMO, could be set aside for the deductible.
Sure. It's got to go somewhere.
Okay. But that's separate from the subsidy that
Correct.
the manager has
Correct.
Put together for us. So there is that, unless Christian, am I reading this wrong? Again, I just really want to talk through this and make sure we're all understanding everything.
No, Mayor, you're stating correctly. So the high deductible plan would be lower cost than the HMO. And it's also less than what they're paying today out of their paycheck. So theoretically, they could take what they're paying today, the difference in the premium, they could contribute that to the health savings account.
Okay. And then we do allow sellback of sick time to that account as well.
Yes.
And then I would even, say a good solution could be offering to sell back vacation and PTO as well if an employee would choose to do that. Leave it to their discretion.
Is that doable?
It is. So again, there's another way to put money towards that deductible. And then you have the PPO coverage, so you can go out of network. I'm not out of network, sorry. You can go out of state, 'cause I know that's been a big concern for people is the coverage out of state if you're on the HMO.
Yes.
And then, I think Amendment 3 gets brought up a lot during this discussion, and I think this exercise should be done always, regardless of Amendment 3 looming over our heads in November. But I will say, should it pass, if it passes, we had our 13% cut exercise at the last budget workshop, and we were over $700,000 short. So between the current proposal here and the next agenda item, that covers more than half of that gap. So again, where are we going to consider the different avenues of saving money to close in on that gap, a really real gap, if that amendment were to pass? And like I said, I think this exercise should be done regardless of the amendment, but I just want to throw that out there because that is a very real potential reality we could be dealing with in November. So again, if we want to talk about the subsidy at all program, I don't know if you're prepared to comment on that. And then, selling back vacation and PTO if someone wants to choose the PPO plan. I think those are all things we should discuss. And, I do want to say too that because these are tough decisions, no matter which direction this goes, I think our council has always been extremely values our staff. And that's been apparent in every single move and decision I think we make up here. So I don't want that lost on this discussion either. And also in our seat, we have to report to our staff, and we also have to report and are accountable to our residents. And, council can't just raise the millage rate. Council can't just not budget for capital projects and improvements. So, those are all things that we have to consider when we're analyzing plans such as this, and like I said, even the next agenda item. So can you speak on the subsidy program that you kind of put together?
So, just in general, just because I know we've talked about this with council, I'll share, really what the intent is, I wanted to come up with additional options because we went from that workshop in June, we were tasked with getting some options. The Garing Group did a wonderful job trying to put together some options. We did that, came up with this, from the moment I walked in Tuesday, right after that meeting, there was a lot of discussion. We started looking at numbers, and there's a gap between, what our employees, especially the out-of-network part. So what I try to do is try to find a compromise in this, and if we're going the HMO route, I would really suggest the subsidy. And I know we had a recommendation to keep the PPO originally at the workshop, and the subsidy wouldn't play into that if we were keeping the same plan. But really, we are trying to draw the line, where council was trying to, our direction was to cut. And so instead of a 7% increase or this HMO that's a 6.1% and it's 13.1% difference, I was trying to split the baby. And so what I try to do is come up flat where it would be a 0% increase. So I took the $154,000 in, which instead of the decrease, it would just be flat. And what we did is we're going to give that money back to everybody within their tiers, either your employee with spouse. And so each different tier, employee only would get a $50 a month subsidy. For some of those employees, if they're in the HMO plan, they would be getting a $50 a month in their check, or we do like an FSA for those employees, because right now they wouldn't pay anything. Employees with the spouse would get a $150 subsidy to help cover their costs. In theory, if they're in the PPO now and they go to the HMO, they would get actually a $150 reduction from where they're at. Those people that want to buy up, they can use that $150 to help buy up. And so employee with children, $135, and then a family, $230 would be the subsidy. This was what I proposed to you guys as an alternative option. I was really trying to find a compromise because of, hearing the employees versus where the direction we were going. And so this is an option for you guys if you guys want to look at that. If we are seriously going to the HMO to really consider a subsidy, but our recommendation at the meeting was the PPO.
And the subsidy would be no matter which plan is selected?
Doesn't matter which plan. Everybody gets a subsidy to make it fair. So, no matter what, if you're on the HMO, if you're on the high deductible plan, if you're on the PPO, you would get that subsidy.
So based on those numbers, the HMO for the family, you would get a pay increase of $227.99 if you were just like that plan with the subsidy. For the PPO plan for the family, it would be an increase of $244 a month. But you still have that option to select that if you want. For the high deductible family, you're actually getting a decrease or an increase to your pay of $367 a month. That times 12 is $4,400 a year that can go into a health savings account that you don't even pay taxes on as well. So there's a lot of other benefits there. To me, I think this is an incredible solution in the fact that the employees are actually getting a pay increase if they don't have severe health needs or anticipate major health needs, which to me, was the whole purpose of Obamacare. In theory, he was talking about that. But that's true in that aspect of, if you don't have any major health needs, you're gonna get a pay increase. If you do have major health needs you're aware of this year, you can go into that PPO and you will pay a little bit more each month for that main great low cost on those needs. So I think it's a great step into the right direction.
I agree. I think the subsidy is a good solution.
Somebody made a comment about selling back your sick time or your PTO. That's a benefit that people get when they work here. And assuming at some point people can, when they retire, they cash that out. They have the ability to do that, correct, Catherine? Yeah, so I don't want somebody to have to depend on selling their sick time. I don't want somebody to have to depend on selling their PTO, which can be significant for a 30-year employee. And in order to make up the difference between the gap and the high deductible plan. Again, if this is where we have to go, I will support it next year. I don't support it this year. I just think that this is, while it's a great exercise that we've gone through, if Amendment 3 passes, it doesn't happen until next year anyway. And we can tell people, listen, if this passes, we can almost guarantee you that's the route we're going to go, and there will have to be changes. But I just don't think this is the year for it. I don't want somebody to have to depend on PTO, on selling PTO, sick time, things like that, because that could be a significant number. Or maybe they have other plans for it other than that. When we have a perfectly good plan that came in under what we thought we were going to budget, this HMO is amazing. I think it is one of the best plans that is out there. I just don't think giving somebody 8 weeks, and now we're about 6 weeks away from having to make a decision that impacts an entire family. And I have a concern with that we're doing something that could be what we do next year. I just don't think now is the right time. I don't think we've given people the correct amount of time. They're learning information at the same rate we're learning it. And I tell you what, if they're as busy as we think they are, I don't know when they have the time to read all this stuff. Because I have a job too, and I have not been able to digest this all. I couldn't digest it before the first workshop that we discussed it at. So I just think that we're force feeding a fire hose down somebody's mouth to tell them that, hey, this is what we need to do. We may be there next year, but that's 13 months from now. And that's what I'm most comfortable with, is say, hey, listen, it might be coming. We might have to make this very uncomfortable decision. And yeah, there are other options to do it. You might want to talk about selling your PTO or go to the high deductible and with the GAP plan and all that different thing and a subsidy, it might work out. But to go home and sit across the kitchen table from your spouse and your children and tell them this is what the decision we have to make in the next 4 weeks, with the school starting and people going through year-end reviews, I think we're just moving too fast for this, something that is so impactful in somebody's life. We're talking about the health, the well-being, and the safety of somebody's family in their mind. And I've always said, I govern with the health, the safety, and the well-being, and I can't, with a good conscience, this year say this is the direction I want to go. So I can't, again, not to sound like a broken record, I cannot support this because I think it's too much. We're too big of a bite, too big of a bite of an apple this late in the game. I think we're doing something to try to make it fit, and it might fit next year. But let's give people 13 months to prepare for that.
From a health and safety and well-being, I cannot vote against the subsidy, knowing that potentially you can give an employee an additional $4,000 to help feed his family. In addition to the idea of giving back PTO time or sick time, if you want to do the math, you do that early in your career and you let that grow in the S&P 500. When you retire, it's going to be worth way more than what it would be your last couple of years of paying taxes on all that money. So it's a lot greater benefit for you than it is keeping it.
So when would this plan go into effect?
October 1st.
What, on average, how much notice do you guys see in cities and counties that employees get?
60 to 90 days, so we're within the normal timeframes.
It's not unreasonable, the time frame that we're discussing this.
Right, based upon the village's size, employee population, we receive your renewal 90 days out, and then the negotiation process begins then.
Okay, and then maybe this is more for Jeremy. If the amendment passes in November, when is that? Doesn't that hit us January, or do we have a whole nother year?
We have a whole nother year. It really wouldn't affect the budget until the following October. Obviously, we've already talked about we'll have to start hedging right away because of the big gap we have. So, but it wouldn't actually affect until the following October budget. So October of 27 is when we'd have it. Obviously throughout the year we have our budget meetings. That's when, it'd be real in all those budget discussions.
Okay, thank you. Any other council discussion?
So as I'm listening, aside from police and fire, not all of our staff sits at a nice cushy AC desk, right? I see guys in here that are dealing with chemicals. We have water plant maintenance workers. We have guys in the dirt dealing with God knows what is in those pipes from 1967. So again, I sit with the rush of this. I'm appreciative for your explanation. I appreciate that because I really wanted to understand where your mindset was when you brought that up. I appreciate all the numbers that we're getting, but there's a lot. We've been given a lot and all these different options. And with all due respect, you're human resources and you are kind of new. So you haven't had too much time to start really getting to know our staff and really advise us on what, staff would like quality-wise for working here. But just thinking about the jobs they do too, what are we doing on behalf of the taxpayers to make sure they want to do that job? Because it's not really appealing, most of them, running into a fire or cutting someone out of a car, have blood gushing on you, again, in the hole with the trenches, the chemicals, you're talking about PFAS and the foam. So I'm trying to just weigh, when we're thinking taxpayer money, for me, that's what we're paying for. We're paying for you to do the dirty job, in respect to micro. So I still sit with this, feels like it's not right now, but I wouldn't mind looking at the options and having time, even in the next couple months, to really, for you to sit with staff on behalf of being the HR director and really help them understand. And then maybe you can get a better feel for, we have more, like 70% staff really want to go with this because of these logistical reasons, and then bring that back to us. Or maybe we do have a mix of somewhat at HMO and maybe they can plan to pay up to a PPO. I just don't want to put that on them right now, because when I looked at those numbers to pay up, there's people in this room that make 200 plus, but a lot of our staff doesn't. And money is tight and it's not going down. So those prices are big for me. $3,000, even $1,000 extra is a lot of money. And I know I feel that.
That's why I think the option of being able to increase their pay by $4,000.
But not to say, because then if they pay up, they aren't really saving that.
No, they are. Those that select that plan.
But again, here we are going back and forth, everyone trying to understand everything, and there's so much data. Like, this is new. Hi, thanks. I appreciate that, but this was up here 2 hours ago. So, again, out of respect for just all of us getting on the same page. I know, you know what I mean? And, we got an email yesterday, and did staff get that email? Did they see what we're seeing? I just think also out of fairness, and again, on behalf of the taxpayers, can we tell them that we were fair and we went back and forth? We spend more time in negotiations with salary raises and we go back and forth. So why is this kind of not similar? Because I know it's a budget item and it is numbers on paper, I get that, but it has people attached to it too. So I'm still listening and I appreciate the numbers. I'm open to hearing other plans. And I think you guys could even maybe dig in the network and figure out maybe we switch providers completely, I don't know. But again, I'm gonna rely on you as our HR director to work with staff, and unfortunately you are kind of new, so you haven't had much time. Marlene could come in here and be like, right? And I hope you're gonna be like that. You're gonna be here for a while, I hope, but unfortunately, I'm not getting that from you, so I'm gonna need more time.
I completely hear you and I understand, and the common theme is time.
Yeah, that's the root for me, is just the time.
To get to know the employees and what their desires are, as well as the time that I'm coming up against needing to be able to present the information to you and answer your questions.
Is it possible to send the employees the subsidy idea memo and maybe have some feedback on that? Because I feel like there are some employees that would absolutely jump on the opportunity to get a pay increase and potentially set up a special meeting, a council meeting, to just come back this week, next week. I know time's of essence. I don't know if that's possible, but I'd be in favor of something like that. I feel like if employees knew and they could see all the plans and do the data, see if their doctors are in these plans or not in these plans, they'd be in favor.
When is your deadline? Because you said you had 90, it's not until October?
The effective date is October the 1st.
So when do you need the green light on a plan?
Well, the sooner the better, obviously. So if you do make changes that people would be able to have, their new ID cards be enrolled in the correct plan, be enrolled in the correct tier of coverage, so everything would be ready effective October the 1st.
We did our open enrollment call with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they would need everything transmitted to them by mid-September. So you need to back in the wellness fair and open enrollment for our employees, also be able to look at the information, select the plans that they want, and be able to deliver that information to human resources. And then also key it and transmit it to Blue Cross. So we do have a little bit of time, but not very much. We would have to do it Monday, Tuesday, something very quick.
When is our next meeting?
We have a workshop on the 31st. We could do a special meeting prior. Is that too long, August 31st? To just kind of analyze this a little more? Like I said, send out the information on the subsidy.
I believe that would be too long. If we waited until August 31st to have the next council discussion, then
You don't have enough time to.
we wouldn't have time to give them time to make their elections and then transmit it.
So when would be your deadline? Next week?
Ideally, would give employees 2 weeks to make their election. And if we needed, so September 1st. And then whatever decision you make, so if we said August 31st, right, and you made a decision August 31st, you need to be able to take whatever decision you make and turn that into something.
Right.
So whatever decision you make, that turns into an open enrollment booklet, that turns into election forms, enrollment forms. So I need a little bit of time. So if I give them 2 weeks, let's say the 1st to the
11th.
the 11th, I would need a decision a little bit before the 1st, so that I can get that back to Garen, so Garen can create all of those forms and materials, so that we're not running into the same scenario that we're here, that I can't talk to employees, I can't educate employees, and have them come into my office and ask me questions. Are my doctors on this plan? Are they not on this plan? What about this specialist? What if I make this move? What does my paycheck look like? How does this subsidy work if we go in that direction?
How many employees do we have again?
103, 104.
So even if every single employee sat with you for 1 hour, that's 103 hours. That's more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, there might not be enough time. And something else, again, I just want to throw out, potentials, because I know people can be worried about the providers. We cannot change our plan at all, and your provider could stop taking the insurance. Often medical providers, when they go to renegotiate their plans with the insurance companies, they don't come to terms, so they drop that insurance provider. That happens, and people have a long time doctor, and then all of a sudden, same plan, but they just drop the insurance because they can't come to terms with the insurance. So I don't know about you guys, I hear all the time. It happened to me. I talked to someone today it's happened to 2 other of my family members, several other friends, that all these doctors are in a concierge now, and they don't take insurance. So there's a lot of factors out there that you can lose providers. So again, very sensitive to it, and it is an inconvenience to have to find another provider, but this isn't the only factor that could change, your current doctor and having to find another one. But
You could have a PPO and have a doctor that performing a heart surgery on your child that is out of network and pay the full boat. I looked at that doctor, he is actually approved in the HMO. I'd love to be an employee here.
Yeah, so insurance is insurance, and the relationship with insurance and medical providers is one I don't ever want to be part of, because there's just always some kind of wrinkle, and it doesn't make sense often. But like I said, there's just so many factors out there that can affect your providers. But it doesn't sound like there is much time to consider or have staff educated on the subsidy. And I'm still, the gap with me still is the high deductible plan, because I know a staff memo went out. I didn't even see the high deductible plan listed on there. And again, I think maybe I don't know, you've been having other discussions, and maybe other emails have gone out that we haven't seen. But again, there's just a big gap for me there, because it's a savings monthly if you go from that. And then if you add a subsidy on that, I'm trying to, for those that have to have the PPO to go out of state, I'm not seeing the downside of that one at all. But I don't know with your communications and what you've sent out, other than what I've seen, has that been really closely looked at and explained?
So people have expressed consideration of the high deductible plan. The concern that I have heard, and again, it's not many, open with that, is the out-of-pocket expense plus the premium, right? So you are paying the premium, and then when you have the bill, you have to pay for the bill until you hit that higher out-of-pocket expense, and then you're paying a portion of the bill. So although it may look on paper like you're saving money, when you do get sick and your child, in this particular instance that I'm thinking of, gets sick, you are having quite a large expense. And then, so again, do they take the chance on the HMO? Because again, the HMO has the solid plan, but if they have that out-of-network need, there's no out-of-network care for them, so they go with the high deductible plan, but when they do need to use the high deductible plan, it's potentially going to hit their pocketbook significantly because of the bill and needing to reach that deductible before they even get their insurance to kick in to pay for that bill. And that's where they're concerned.
And those are all absolutely valid concerns. That's why I'm thrilled that there's options versus at some point you're only going to have one option. And most people have one option. So take advantage of having options.
My last comment on this, and I apologize for bringing it up again. 8 days ago, we talked about it in June. 8 days ago, this topic got legs. Really 7 days ago, because then Tuesday morning, it hit the ground running and we heard from some people that were here that evening or listened to it this evening. The simple math of it, I don't know how you can meet one-on-one with somebody. Everybody that wants, say half the people want to move forward with it or something, it's still 50 hours where they have to get time off from what they're doing to make sure their spot is covered. This could be the most monumental decision and the best decision the village has ever made. I don't see why we have to make it tonight. That's my position. I don't see why we have to make it tonight. We're not going to suffer any financial impact this year. Amendment 3, if it does pass, is effective October 1st of 2027. We can say 13 months from now, we might have to have this very, very difficult conversation with our employees because this is what happened and it's just real. It will be real, but it's not real until October of 2027. And I think we can only have enough time to get it. And you said, Catherine, you were trying to, in your head, you're adding backwards. You can't meet with half the people or address the emails or give the people the time they need. I just think this could be the best decision fiscally the village ever made. I just can't support it tonight. I just cannot do it. I think it's too much. 8 days ago, this came up. 8 days ago, this dialogue came up. And this is the first time we've been able to talk about it publicly. I just have a concern. And pardon me for calling you Kyle, not Councilmember Stone.
You're allowed to.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. This is an amazing exercise. I just can't support it tonight. I think it's where we need to go, and I think the plans, if they're still around next year, that HMO is a great plan. Everybody can plan for it. But to give somebody to go home and sit around the dining room table, that's real. That's real. They have to sit down and say, we have to make some decisions. And I'm not sitting up here because it's not my paycheck, and I cannot support this. I mean, my heels are dug in. I think so I'm going to quit talking, but I just think it's a great decision and discussion to have. I just don't think it needs to be made tonight. I can't support that.
Just curious, what would the timing be different next year?
I wouldn't anticipate the timing being really any different, except we go ahead with the plan of moving forward with the HMO next year, and we have that integrated into the renewal package already in advance versus negotiating it after.
It's always going to be this tight.
Well, I mean, but the other part, and I don't want to cut Christian off, I mean, if we get the directive, I mean, we'll go out to the market. We'd shop for different providers too, which that wasn't the exercise this time. So I think there's some different options. If we look toward next year, I think we can get ahead of the curve a little bit from what I'm hearing about the timing. So we have some different options. If we go out to market, we'll maybe go back, so just being mindful
So there is
of
more
that.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add other than what's already been said. I think the subsidy concept was a brilliant idea, and if the savings is there, if we have to make this our decision next year, and that HMO savings exists next year, which who knows, I think it's a fantastic idea.
I think the problem is there's not going to be a subsidy next year.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
We
Well,
don't have the money if the
it depends.
is.
It does.
Depends.
It does.
Because there might be staff sitting in the room who are, I assume a lot of them didn't know about this subsidy. It was just an idea.
It was an idea to not grow legs because I didn't want to put it out there with
fair.
that.
Nor should you have. That would have, But, if that's, there might be folks in the room tonight that are like, man, that's pretty nice, I would like that, but I just, again, not to use the timing thing again, it's just not there. And this is not atypical to this agenda item. We don't hear from all the people who may love the options. So if they exist, we haven't heard from them. So, and I also know we should not make decisions just based on, the limited conversations. Yeah, but they're real, and you hear it, and it, and the last thing I want, and no one has said this to me, and I'm not saying this would happen, but the last thing I would want, as hard as it is, as much effort as we put into hiring the good people and retaining them, is for someone to not feel valued for some reason because of this decision we're making tonight and to leave. Me, you can't even put a cost on that because replacing that human is extremely difficult. And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if anybody would be that upset over this decision, but it's possible, I don't know. So I love all these ideas. I think these are all great ideas. It's the beauty of being up here with people that we all see eye to eye and can be respectful of each other. I think everyone's bringing fantastic points to the table. To me, it's just the timing in which it's occurring. So I'm sticking where I am, but love the subsidy idea.
I just know that the employees were able to come up with an idea and share their opinions within 24 hours. So I feel like if we sent this out, we can get opinions pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's nothing less. We could have a meeting next week. I mean, we can have a meeting whenever we want. Well, we got to give proper public notice and all that stuff. But
Lots of meetings.
if we as a council feel like it deserves it, let's have a special meeting in 2 weeks, or, well, what's the date? That doesn't help us
By
much.
end of next week, basically, would be your stopping point.
Yeah.
Does council want to allow that subsidy option to be explored and have one more
Can we
meeting?
hear from people?
Sure,
Yeah,
yes.
but one
thank
question
you.
before we even go there, I do want to hear from everybody. The question I have, what information are we going to be using? Like, what, is there going to be a tangible, like, hey, we did a survey and 96% of people, that's what I'm not fully understanding right now. Like, if we send out the subsidy info tomorrow, we're going to get the typical emails we get, some in favor, some in not, but are we really going to have more the information we feel we need to make any other decision that we would make tonight? That I don't know. All 4 surveys, by the way, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have a special meeting and kick this can any further than we are if we're going to be sitting here next Thursday or Friday and just be like, oh, I don't feel any different.
And we're put in this position to make difficult decisions.
True.
So
You told me that.
Yeah.
It's true.
And this, like I started, this is a tough decision. Obviously, we've talked quite some time about this. It's not an easy decision. So, do you have anything else to say? Or
Yeah,
take
before you go to public comment, because I know we have staff. If staff decides to make public comment, which I hope you do, because your feedback is very valuable, and don't be scared. I know some of our emails were anonymous, but please don't be scared. Okay, we got your back, and like Kyle keeps saying, like, these are things we have to look at. But since you guys have been vocal, we hear that too. So if you want to speak tonight, just please don't be scared. I want your honesty, because I know in our little town, that goes a long way. So I can respect that if you want to be honest with us.
Lori, do you have any public comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? No.
None.
All right, council, we can vote, we can postpone. Do you have the subsidy information sent out, analyzed with the 3 options so employees understand that? I mean, those are 2 options, so someone will have to make a motion or suggest a postponement.
I do think subsidies is a great solution to put money back in the pockets of some of our employees. And they give them the flexibility to decide. And I think once they see it and understand it, which is a difficult part that you have of explaining a very difficult, complicated situation that not many people understand, that they'll come back with an opinion.
We're not a council that calls special meetings often, right? So I don't see the harm, even if we come the same solution that we were thinking tonight. Like, I don't see the harm in getting that information out there, waiting one more week, getting more feedback, and taking a vote then.
What are our rules on special meetings, remote?
I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, special meetings, is there ability to do it completely remote, or we have, where it's still?
Attendance is, the rules are the same for a regular meeting. I would need a quorum physically present.
Okay.
So 3 here.
Three
and then
here,
2 could be
okay.
remote.
Okay, well, listen, I agree. If a week will give us more time and you more time, or anybody more time, then
Vice Mayor, may I just ask a question to clarify? When we're surveying, are we surveying whether they would prefer to just have the 2 options of the current PPO as is and the
3 options.
I was partially joking about the survey, but if everyone's in for it, I'm in for it.
I'm just saying.
I think,
What would the survey be? Like, what would the question be? Because
I think it's an informational campaign for you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's think through this. So there was the initial.
I think we will all approve the 7% increase. Okay. However, I do think with the subsidy is a great solution, and I think a lot of employees will want to use that if they fully understand it.
Yeah.
And so that's the subsidy with the HMO, the PPO, and the high deductible, or just the plain old PPO.
With a very good memo on the subsidy that's very clear.
Yeah. And I would do a
Which it
comparable.
was, by the way, the table and everything was
That was
super
great.
helpful, yeah.
But I would do it, comparable with each plan. Because like I said, my gap that I brought up from when I started with my comments was the high deductible HMO and the savings that are being realized, and then admin subsidy, because what was sent to me, that was not even discussed in any of the staff information. So, again, I think if we can have a week to get really thorough information out on all 3 options with the subsidy, and everyone can review that, we'll get feedback from the manager or yourself, and then we can make a final decision. Will we be next Friday? Is that what we're looking at? What are public notice requirements? How many?
I don't think our code has a specific number of days, but let me.
Reasonable time frame.
I think that's the reasonable.
Based on
Because,
information provided.
depending on the circumstances, you could
Reasonable.
have something that's
Tomorrow?
more emergent and with a more compressed timeframes.
Generally, 72 hours is our rule, but it just speaks to, you have to have a reasonable notice, but our internal process, we post it 72 hours prior.
And I assume it would have to be at our regular meeting time?
You can have a
whenever?
special meeting whenever.
So I would not be in favor of that. I'd rather just vote, and my motion, if I were to make one tonight, would be to go with the PPO that was presented originally and move forward with future conversation on possible changes for next year, especially knowing what might change from the state.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I am going to make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
No. Oh, I didn't hear what you were.
I said aye.
No.
No. It passes.
Did the clerk get the?
No.
You can take a roll call.
Sir Boyd made the second. It was 3-2 in favor with the mayor and Mr. Stone.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you got it.
Good.
So the record's clear. Thank you.
Thank you for the discussion. Thank you for everyone that came tonight to listen to. All right, moving on, agenda item 20, consider approval of property and casualty insurance renewals.
And before she starts, Mayor Brandon, this was the item that was on your desk, and it was, the reason why it was on there is because as we pulled those, our direction at the last meeting was to go back through it. We were able to find a little bit more savings by pulling a couple of those items off. So we just wanted to make sure we recognize those. There was no major changes to it, but I'm sure they'll highlight those, but, sorry, just want to clear that up.
Yep, my point was just that we get things on the dais sometimes.
Yeah. I just want to make sure it was on the record that
Yes.
What was
And
on
that's
there
fine. I'll clarify that
wasn't dealing
as
with
well.
health insurance, it was dealing with property
And
insurance.
I'm fine with that, and I want to clarify that too. I was just using example, sometimes as council, we get things literally at meetings or the day before.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I am before you again. Similar to what Jeremy said, we did take the direction back to the Utilities Director to opine on some of the assets that we were looking to remove from the schedule. And actually, she returned with a recommendation to remove another additional 2. So those 2 are stricken from the updated property schedule alternate. That was the RO well number 1. I guess it's just a pooled well. So she was confident that that did not need coverage. And then she also struck from the schedule asset 003031 2 tanks sodium hypochlorite bulk storage, which I guess are kind of sandwiched in between a couple of different assets, similar to that conversation we had about some of the pumps. So with that, it did reduce the total insured value by another, I think, $600,000, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the number off the top of my head because I'm just looking at what I have tonight. But it did return an additional $4,000 in savings if we wanted to look at, again, that 10% named storm deductible. So you'll see that the premium did further reduce to about $60,000 under current with the option that's presented in renewal alternative 2, which is changes to the property schedule, changes to the named storm deductible from 5% to 2%, and then the implementation of the work comp 10,000 deductible stop loss on that line of coverage. So happy to answer any other questions that you may have about the changes that were presented for final approval tonight, if you have them.
Council, any comments or questions on the updated changes?
None, thank you.
Too easy.
I know. Well, you guys had to take the hard task before this, so I have been on that seat. Obviously, I know that you guys know that I served on the benefits side, so this was a little bit of a different lens. I just want to, obviously, just give you credit for all of the attention that you gave to that, because I do know that that's a hugely important thing, and I'm happy to be on the other side of it tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment? Nope, and there was no council comment discussion. All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. All right.
Welcome to the fun, Catherine.
You're doing great.
You are.
On to new business, agenda item 21, resolution 11-26 to approve the stormwater utility fees for this upcoming fiscal year.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Allisonburg Utilities Director. Before you tonight is the resolution that we do every year to adopt our stormwater utility fees for the upcoming fiscal year. The one thing that is slightly different about the resolution that's in front of you tonight is that we are proposing a 5-year maximum 5% per year fee schedule. The whole purpose of that is just to reduce the amount of public notice that we have to provide to our residents. Currently, the way that we legally have to advise our residents is through mailing. So we spend about $3,000 a year on mailing public notices, as well as publishing in our lobby and then publishing online as well. Through this adoption, the only way we would have to do those public notices is if we ever propose above that 5%. Past 4 years, we've done 5%. The year before that, we did a 10% increase. So this is pretty consistent with the other years. We would still always bring every year that proposal to increase those fees to council for your approval. You can always propose less increases or no increase at all. This just limits it to that 5%, so we do not have to do that continued public notice that costs us about $3,000 every year. So that's just the difference compared to any previous year that you've seen this resolution. So just going through the resolution this year, this is a non-ad valorem assessment, so it is included on the property tax bill, but it's not related to property tax value. Instead, it's assessed based on the square footage of a property. Those, for a residential house, they're put into tiered categories, A, B, C, or D, and those are just assessed a flat fee. And then there is a breakdown as well for commercial government properties, and other types of properties included in the agenda item. And the whole purpose of this is to assess fairly properties for the impervious area that creates stormwater runoff that we then have to convey through a stormwater system that eventually either percolates into the ground or is conveyed to the river. And ensuring that all of those treatment and conveyance structures treat the water that is in compliance with our MS4 permit that we are required to maintain and report. And so this year we are proposing a 5% increase for the typical average home. That's about $4.73 increase per year. So that would go up from $94.64 to $99.37 a year, which is about 39 cents per month. All of that is laid out in your agenda backup, and I will take any questions.
Thank you, Allison. Council, any comments or questions?
No, just again, your stuff is so detailed. I appreciate that.
I don't have any comments.
Nothing. Thank you, Allison.
My only comment is I don't like not sending out the annual notice. I think that is not transparent with the public when we're raising the fee every year. I personally would like to see the notice still go. You said it's $3,000.
It's about $3,000 for the mailed notices. The other option that we could include, and this could just be something that becomes practice for us, is we do have a message section on the water bills. So we could include a message about stormwater rates on the water bills, and that it's the same typical cost that we have for the water bills that we have to send out every month. This is a completely separate notice that we have to send out, so we could always do that. We do a lot of outreach already with some of our other stormwater related initiatives. Whenever we're talking to residents about swales, we always talk about the stormwater fees, and it was brought up at a previous meeting that we had with some residents on site when their property, we talked about swales, about the current increase and everything. So, I mean, if you want to continue to do the notices, we can do that. This was just an attempt to try to save some money.
Yeah, and I know, this is all enterprise fund user fee based, right? So, and from what I understand, our budget that we've been reviewing in the past 2 workshops is actually budgeted for 3%. This is 5%, and the intent is that 2% is going to continue to go to build up our reserves. So knowing that we're charging more than we're actually budgeting for, which I was going back and forth on that, but I do understand the need to build up the reserves because we've been severely underfunded in the stormwater fund, which has resulted in this backlog of stormwater projects that you're now trying to accomplish. But, with that and building up the reserves, I do think we could still send out that annual notice for transparency. Or if we can put it on the water bill, that's fine with me too, so long as it's like bold, obvious. Like, I don't know how you do it, but just so people notice it, because we do still, not everyone's on social media, or, I do think there's a lot of value in getting that, especially for something like this, getting it in the mail.
I concur with that with you, Mayor, especially we're going to be building up our reserves. Well, $3,000 is a lot. I think it's something that's necessary. If you put it on the water bill, I just get a notice that my bill's on auto pay, and it just tells me what I paid. I don't even see my water bill.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't see it if we did that. I think it's kind of a necessary evil, that I think it's just the right thing to do when it comes to the transparency part of it. So I agree with you, Mayor, on that.
Any other comments?
I'm fine on the water bill.
I am too.
I agree we should notify. I'm
Every year, yeah.
in some form or another. I don't know how to be formalized, but
So do is there any public comment? Do we need to amend the resolution to say that we want annual notice going out? Because, right, does it? I don't know.
we need this resolution if we're going to be continuing to give annual.
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say something different?
I guess this resolution is the price increase?
The resolution is the price increase. I'm not sure legally if we would have to change the resolution to not, or if it.
It's not part of the resolution. I thought it was the 5-year.
I think if you're going to direct, the resolution as written adopts the one-time 5%. I just lost the document. If you're going to direct regular going forward annual notice, yes, I would like to add a section to the resolution that provides for that.
Yes, it does say that you are adopting the annual stormwater utility rates as specified in the attached Exhibit A for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2030. So it adopts them through the 5 years. So you'd have to add a stipulation for public notices.
Okay, so if everyone concurs, a motion would be to adopt it with the amendment of adding annual notice.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 22, consider approval of McKim and Creed proposal for the water treatment plant SCADA. I feel like SCADA. I always say it wrong. Programming.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Allisonburg Utilities Director. Before you tonight is a proposal from McKim and Creed for the programming related to our water treatment plant upgrades project. So the amount for this proposal is $473,433.15. This is all of the programming for the new equipment that is going to be implemented through the water treatment plant upgrades. So new pumps, specifically the VFDs. The way that the VFDs operate is they tell the motor, based on some set point, operate at this percentage rate. Right now, the motors are all operating at 100%. So there's a lot of programming behind the scenes that has to be done to make sure that that equipment operates correctly, as well as the water quality monitoring equipment. So this is the cost for that proposal. It kind of goes hand in hand with the next agenda item. But McKim & Creed is the firm that is currently doing our SCADA conversion, and they have been absolutely phenomenal to work with. Our SCADA system, they're the ones who brought up the cybersecurity to begin with on the very first meeting we had. I feel very confident in their capabilities. They have supported us in some of our other efforts without us even really asking them to. So they're very forward thinking as a firm and trying to be there for us and support us. As they know, the SCADA is kind of the brains of the plant. It's really very intimate with the operators. It's a very touchy topic when you start talking about the controls of the plant. So we feel very confident in this firm proceeding with doing this work, and kind of also being a representative in this project. If you recall, the programming was actually previously included in the water treatment plant upgrades. We had pulled that out because we were doing the SCADA conversion ahead of time, and we wanted to provide the continuity of the firm that's doing our SCADA conversion into this programming, so we didn't have somebody that was coming in and relearning the program behind our programmer. That would have increased costs, as well as maybe developed some lack of continuity with what they were programming, and then after the fact trying to come back, and if we ever had any issues or had to reprogram something, then our on-call contractor would have had to relearn that system. So just continuity of service.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
Thank you.
I'll just say, well, and this is in regards to the next agenda item as well. When I first got elected, one of the first things I did was tour the water plant, and Matt Hammond was still here. And we were talking all about the design for this project and the energy efficiencies. That was 5.5 years ago. So thank you for getting this one across the finish line. It's really important for our water treatment plant, and it goes to show how slow government can be sometimes. Granted, we had to pivot on different things and whatnot, but thank you for your hard work on this one.
Well, the two old timers down there were on council when we first started talking about it.
We had to do that report. Yeah.
You approved the first contract to start us down this
Can we finish this
6-year path, 7-year path? I don't, wow.
It's never ending.
Well, it's good we're getting it done. Any public comment?
Lily?
Water treatment plant? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Agenda item 23, consider approval of Power Serve Technologies contract for the water treatment plant upgrades.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Allisonburg Utilities Director. Before you tonight is a proposal for the award of the contract for our water treatment plant process efficiency and control improvements, an amount not to exceed $6,656,000. So, as mentioned, this has been a very long process. I do believe that everything happens for a reason, because we have changed a lot, and I think that this project has developed and changed as our needs and the future of our utility has changed. So I think it's almost good that it didn't happen. So I do think everything happens for a reason. But just going through it, I did put together this very quick presentation, And so I just want to highlight a couple of items about the project. It includes pump upgrades to improve some hydraulic issues we currently have at the plant with some of our high service pumps that we use to maintain the pressure in the distribution system. It includes water quality monitoring upgrades to improve chemical dosing. There's control equipment replacement to ensure reliability, and then electrical equipment upgrades to improve energy efficiency. I really wanted to highlight the energy efficiency aspect of the project as it did come up as a question prior to this meeting. And so this table was actually provided in Kimley Horn's water treatment master plan as some updated figures on just where we're going as a utility with some of the configuration. So right now we operate at that 1.2 million gallons a day of permeate per train. That equates to about $569 a day, and that's for average flow. So that's not per train, but average flow through the water plant. That's our energy cost just for operating the train. So that's that pump running at 100%. We're closing a valve right now to reduce that pressure. All that pressure is being pushed into the train, and we're trying to get as much water out of the train as we can. Moving into the 1.2 million gallon a day with VFD, that's what this project proposes. So we'll see a cost savings of about $298 per day, which equates to about $108,843 a year. Looking over a 10-year span, that's about $1.2 million in savings, and that's average daily flow. Moving into the water treatment master plan and the PFAS treatment, where we're trying to more heavily rely on the RO, that's where we move into that 1.58 million gallons a day. I know there's a line there for the 1.58 million gallons a day without a VFD or ERD, but it's really not achievable. We couldn't even really operate like that if we wanted to. The VFD and ERDs are almost required to get more water and balance the flows out of the train so we can get that water. And there's a whole lot, if you really want to go into it, I can go into it, but it gets more technical. So the whole goal is to get to the 1.58 million gallons a day with the VFD, which can operate that pump, and then the ERD, which is going to recover some of that lost energy on our second stage and boost it up where we need more pressure on the second stage to get more water out and balance those flows. So really the goal is that 1.58 with a VFD and an ERD, but this is just that step towards getting to that final goal. So this is just the cost savings, both annual cost savings and operating costs. So you can see the operating costs kind of balance out with the annual cost savings. Bidding and contractor overview. So we did receive 3 bids for this project. We were pretty happy to receive them. The bidding process overall went a lot smoother than the first time we bid it. Felt more confident in the project design overall with very few questions coming in technically. So the design was pretty sound. Of the 3 bids, the lowest responsive bidder was PowerServe Technologies, coming in at that $6.656 million. It's about $923,000 or 13.8% less than the second lowest bidder. It seems like a lot, but when you're talking on this scale, it's really not a huge difference. And when we look at the line items, we can kind of point out where those differences in costs were. So overall, we do believe that these were pretty competitive bids. Also, experience provided in PowerServe Technologies bid proposal. They're proposing about 12 employees, 30 years of experience. The project manager specific to our project would be an electrical engineer with 5 years of project management experience. We checked the references. Both we internally checked the references as well as our engineer of record called and checked those references. There was projects both on the public and private side. And speaking with the project managers from those projects on the owner side, they all had great things to say about PowerServe Technologies. In fact, 2 of the 3 have ongoing continuous projects with PowerServe right now after the projects that they were already referencing. So continued employment of that contractor. So we feel pretty confident in PowerServe Technologies' abilities to complete this project. Funding schedule and snapshot. So this is SRF funded. So we do have a loan agreement for $5.7455 million. It comes out to $5.8734 million when you add the administrative cost of that loan from FDEP, and that's at a 2.43% financing rate over a 20-year term. That is incorporated into our budget long-term and our capital plan. Of that, $2.6899 million will be coming from the water fund reserves. Currently, we have about $9.22 million in our capital account that this project would be coming from. This project, along with the programming project, would leave just above $2 million in that account. I did provide a breakdown in the backup of the total project cost because this project has been ongoing for a while, so I wanted to really capture what all of those costs look like and just provide you with that breakdown. So that is in your package as well. If this project is awarded tonight, the notice to proceed would be issued in September of 26 with 365 days to substantial completion, putting us at September of 2027, and then 400 days to final of November 2027. The one thing I do want to stipulate with that timeline is just some of these control components do have long lead times. We do plan to identify any of those long lead time items ahead of time, and if there is any requirement to extend that, we would bring that as soon as we know what those bid time or those lead time items are, so that they can be appropriately adjusted for the contract time, and we're not mixing or blurring any lines between any other issues that we have with the contract. Project delivery approach. Even though we're planning on moving forward with the project now, we do plan to pursue some value engineering options. So we've already been looking at a couple of items that we have gotten the bids back and just looked at the comparison and really diving down deep into what's included in the scope of work and looking at potential opportunity to value engineer and maybe reduce very small reduction in scope and just the purchase of some types of equipment that we may not need necessarily right now that we could purchase outside of the contract. So we will be looking at those options. Not guaranteeing anything, but definitely we'll look at it and report back if we find anything. We will have to coordinate with SRF because the loan deadline will need to be extended. We've already received word that this shouldn't be an issue, but just so you're aware, that will need to be extended, so the agreement will probably have to come back before council for revision. And really, this is kind of a behind the scenes project. So we will have our SRF required sign outside of the water plant, but there really won't be any major construction that anyone will see. A lot of it's happening in the controls and the equipment. We're not really going to provide any pictures or anything just due to security, but the work is getting done. It's a great investment into our water system. It's the current state of our SCADA system, which really needed improvement, so we're really excited for it. The guys are really excited for it. So we're happy to provide this in front of you tonight for approval.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
No, ma'am.
No, great job.
So thorough.
I got one, the power savings. Did you inflate that at all over the 10 years?
No, I did not. Sorry.
Be larger than that? in
Yes.
theory,
Yep, that was assuming current costs.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing for me.
Any public comment?
I thought everyone was here for my item.
You thought.
You should have stayed.
I hear about this the next day every time. She's like, I'm really disappointed people don't, aren't here for me. So.
Cares about the
put her first.
utility.
No one cares.
We're here.
We're here.
I know.
Yeah, Seth's always here.
We got a whole crowd.
Police are always here. Yeah, small crowd.
Should we approve it, Lily? Okay. As a resident.
That's true. That's true.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, the final agenda item, thank you, Allison. The final agenda item tonight is to consider second employment agreement with our village manager, Jeremy Allen. We had a very great meeting to review his contract. I'm sorry to report there was no fireworks. It was, it was very cordial. So hopefully you had time to read it, and I'll open up for discussion.
I thought everything that was put in there, you did a good job, great job, Mayor. Thank you so much. And to Jeremy as well for continuing, I think, to just lead us to where we need to be. And I think you've earned everything that has been proposed. I think that you did a great job, Molly, with the things that Mayor, that you added some things in there that I think that are very good for us and good for the manager as well. Good for the village and good for the manager. So thank you. I think I'm totally support.
Yep, so I read through it. Thank you for your time, Mayor. And I know when Mr. Allen was hired, I was here. And I appreciate him being humble. He's getting his foot in the door with us, and he has obviously worked hard and proven to be a great wealth of information, creativity. Again, he's humble all the time with us, depending on who's sitting up here, because this rotates, and he does tend to mold to that. So I appreciate some of the tweaks that were made to adjust for his time that he has committed to the village. I think that was appropriate. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you didn't go bananas. And there is, nice cordial professionalism about it. And I thank you for that. No objections.
Yep, I have nothing really other to add, and hopefully council agrees, and hopefully Jeremy agrees.
I will second that. Good work.
I have nothing to add. Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
I just say, I said this when I first got here, I'm one of the luckiest guys. Somehow I stumbled on this from Texas, 108 applicants. I don't know how I got picked, but I've been super lucky. We have a great staff. I've been blessed with good councils, and so, I obviously feel like we're going the right direction. So I'd love to be here for the 5 years of this term, and I think, we'll continue to do good things. So I appreciate the confidence from you guys, which resonates from the residents. So thank you, guys.
It was either the first paragraph or the last paragraph that convinced me before I met you in your letter to us.
For me, it was the interview. It was one thing he said in the interview, and it just sealed it.
Yeah, okay.
What was it?
I've forgotten now. But
It was I won't get detailed, but it was a very honest answer.
Very genuine,
And I
yeah.
looked for honesty and not fake.
Well,
And
there you
that
have it.
stuck with me because I knew working with different councils, he would at least be honest, because I can find solutions with honesty versus manipulation.
And the interview was public, right?
Yeah.
But we weren't video recording then, were we?
I don't think so at the
so.
time. 'cause
This was Zoom, so
It
I'm
was
sure
before
there's
COVID.
somewhere in cyber,
Lori's saying no
somewhere
video, so you can't even go back and
Wow.
see what you said or what.
It was leading by example, I believe, is what was similar.
All right, is there any public comment?
Come on.
Nothing at all. Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, any other matters? Council?
No.
I have a lot to talk about.
So just the presentation we had from the library, again, I am actually a really huge fan of the bookmobile. And weirdly, I have nerd kids, and when he was like 3, he's like, can we have the bookmobile come to my party? And it wasn't a thing. But knowing that, again, we're talking about budgets and get creative with our events, if we can get Greg, like that contact info, and maybe he can pull a partnership when the weather gets better and they can join one of our events.
We've tried that, and I don't have it documented, but I know we've tried that a couple times, like he said, if they have the staff and it's
Okay.
available. So we've tried it. I don't think we've tried hard lately, because we tried it a couple times when they came a couple years ago. But I put it on my list for us
I know
to
the little
revisit
libraries
it.
that are in the neighborhoods, they get a lot of motion. So there's people reading books. And again, maybe we just do our part. It's so simple to just partner with them. They're doing the legwork and just partner with
We
them.
haven't
since they
tried in a
asked.
couple of years, I doubt, but we'll try again. We'll reach out.
I know that's the theme, right? Partnerships to get. That's it.
All right.
I'm good.
One item to bring up, we received a letter from a resident to send a letter to the president's office about the post office conditions. I don't know if council wants to, well, one more thing too. We've been told, I think from the post office direct, that we cannot plan any community events to help spruce it up. And then this letter said there's a section in the manual that they found otherwise. So I don't know if we want to task the manager with looking more into this, if we want to workshop it and see if we want to, entertain this letter, or
Was it written on behalf as a resident or an organization?
it was written on behalf of the village and the Tequesta Civic Association.
I think so the Civic Association is asking for the village to write the letter.
Yes, and both names were on it, the TCA and Tequesta.
It was going to be on behalf of the TCA in partnership with the village. And so the ask or the letter was coming from the TCA, and it was going to go to all of our
A bunch of people,
representatives, the president,
Yep.
Everybody
Yep.
with just, trying to plan an event and clean it up.
Right.
And so I think that's what the mayor's asking. Should I look more into it? Obviously, do we want to send it to the president? Those are the types of questions that I think she's probably getting at this point.
Yeah, and I think there's some insurance liability that we would have to commit to. There's just some things that if we want to go that route, we'll discuss.
Seems like a lot of red tape just to get it done. We've had so
Shouldn't
many
be.
offers for people to just go do it.
I mean, I'm in favor of the manager really, really determining for sure if we can do a community event or not, because now we have two pieces of information. One says we can, one says we can't. I'm not in favor of sending a letter to the president at this time. I think with all the other things going on in the world, it's not a good time. It's just such small potatoes. It's big potatoes to us, but on a national stage, and and we've been working great with Mass Office. But I do think we should really figure out if truly we can have a community event or not.
The letter is to everybody.
Well, yeah.
to the president,
Right.
but the intent is to localize, let people know that, hey, the Tequesta Civic Association wants to put together a group that would be willing to fund it, sponsor it, to get that cleaned up.
So the two asks, have the manager find out if we can in fact do community events or workshop the letter and everything that would entail with insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah, we put it on the list and I'll bring you guys back what our options are if it's even possible, but we won't send any letter on behalf of the village won't send a letter.
Can I just just throw it out there, on the right-of-way issue, I think people know where I'm looking at the roadside to 12 to 18 inches. If council, or I'll ask Jeremy to get with Doug, if there's any feasibility with that, any likelihood that that could be something that we could look to maybe amend what we just approved tonight. I'd like to hear that, but if it's something that, I don't want to spend any more time on something that's had a lot of time spent on, but it's more to do with accessing and improving our roads more so than the swale. So I don't know if you want to piggyback on the swale or do something with the right of way, or just say, on Doug's opinion, like Doug might just say, nah, I don't think that's what we're going to do. So, but I kind of asked for something today, like where I could get to get on board. But if staff feels that that's a waste of our time, then I don't want to do it. But I want to throw it out there that it's something that I think can help the condition of the roads, or the ponding and the puddling of some of the roads that are out there. Is giving us a little bit of ability to put something there, be it rock, or, my request would be rock, but I know where we stand with that. I'm just asking for staff to look at it one more time, and if the answer is no, then Jeremy can just let me know the answer is no.
So what are the options to improve the roads in the Village of Tequesta?
Well, as I said, our road issue being narrow.
To improve drainage.
Would be, pardon?
To improve drainage and make it wider?
Correct. By putting 12 inches or 18 inches of gravel, just to give water some additional space to go. But that's against what our right-of-way that we disapproved tonight says. So there's a different workaround for that. So I'll be looking for, if staff thinks, yeah, there's a workaround, we can do it somewhere else.
I understand the assignment, but if council's agreement, we can bring just a discussion point back. It doesn't sound like there's a sense of urgency. If we got a hole in one of our workshops, we can, throw it in there and have that discussion.
I'm not losing sleep because we're not going to talk about it. But, I think that is an opportunity for, if it doesn't impact the swale, but if you think it's a total mess and don't do it, Rick, then I'll just let it go. But if staff thinks, you can just say, no, Rick, we're not going to bring it back to council. Or does council not even want to have that on the short list on the list of council ideas?
Can you guys take it offline and come back to us for additional matters next?
You guys are okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can bring up during
Sure.
the next
time,
other
next time we're in
matters.
workshop, I'll bring it up.
Sounds
Or
like a plan.
next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Not even 9 o'clock. Come on, guys. Jeez Louise.
Where'd you get my little clicker? Oh, got it. Can I keep your laptop?
Yes.
And Molly out there, Mayor?
Oh, do I need it? I don't.
No. I actually meant to bring